Hello and welcome to another South Suburban Conference action on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I'm Casey Lux and I'm joined today by Hans Bristol, and this is a co-op production of ETV and Burnsville Community Media. So we got the visitors from the Eagan Wildcats taking on the Burnsville Blaze. Hans, how are we doing today?
Can't ask for much better, right? This time of year, never know what Mother Nature does to us spring high school sports fans, but I think we're going to be plenty happy with this one.
Yeah, so we got a wonderful, beautiful day, and we got a little bit of a breeze going out to right center field, so we should see if that will come into play at times with some balls being carried out to the outfield. First pitch by the pitcher today is going to be Riley Nelson, and that goes in for a strike to the leadoff hitter, the shortstop, Theo King. We got weather here on the screen, 71 with 7.7 mile an hour winds. Ground ball is going to be hit to Breezy at second. He's going to flip over to Lindsay for that first out. So a two-pitch, quick inning out for Nelson. Next up will be the junior. It'll be Brandon Lundenborg. He's doing the DH today, typically the catcher, but resting those knees today, Hans, I think is what Coach Butler's doing.
Nothing wrong with that as we take a look at the Eagan lineup. You just mentioned Brandon there as the DH. As many games as these guys are playing within a week right now. Some real good power in this Wildcats lineup defensively and on the mound. I think Burnsville are going to want to get off to a good start in these first few innings, try and take away some of the offense here from Eagan.
Yeah, absolutely. So a few minor changes that we're noticing today. Theo King typically plays third base. He slides over to short. Tate Gage, the normal center fielder, is going to be sliding down to third as we see another fastball in there for a strike for a quick 1-1 count to the junior hitting catcher. And then also in the outfield, you're going to have the normal left fielder, Drew Boyd, will be playing center field today, whereas Jackson Dwyer will be in left. And then Jacob Bjorkstrand getting his first ever varsity starting debut. So it'll be an interesting day for him. And then, I think another thing, Hans, will be is noticing if, Burnsville tries to test his arm early with any, runners on base.
Yeah, and what do coaches love more than flexibility and depth, and not a lot more than that.
It's a hot shot, hit deep to center, but only a few steps back does Heckman go. Wynn held that thing up, plus Lundenberg got underneath it. So quickly, Nelson doing his job, getting two quick outs. Now Tate Gage steps to the plate. As I mentioned, normally a center fielder. He's set to play next year at Concordia St. Paul. Hans, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but Eagan kind of has a little bit of a pipeline lately to Concordia St. Paul. That's Coach Butler's alma mater. That's where I played college baseball and basketball with Coach Butler too. So Gage is the next one kind of in line.
Always a fan of the NSIC. Huh?
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that with me.
Gage steps in. He leads the team in plate appearances at 47, 43 at-bats, 302 average, which looks like it's good for second on the team. 362 on base, 2 doubles, 4 RBIs, 11 runs. There's a high heater that misses up. And he's 4 for 7 on stolen bases is Gage.
And we saw Riley Nelson on Burnsville getting the start, saw that fastball he sent to Lundenborg, got some depth, got some big power in that swing, so he's going to be trying to rely on that fastball. But like you said, dangerous top of this Wildcats lineup.
Right. Well, done a nice job here, right? Coaxing an easy routine ground ball to Breezy at second with King, and then getting the big power hitter, so to say, in Lundenberg to fly out to center. So 2-1 is our count, 2 down here. Top of the first at Alameda Park. Fastball misses out. Eagan comes into today with a 6-7 record, puts them right in the middle of the South Suburban. The Burnsville Blaze are 1-12 on the season, so they're just constantly looking to improve as they're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. And Hans, I think you've seen a few of Burnsville's games throughout the year. You watch that one fall down the third baseline.
Yeah, same with Eagan's schedule. A couple close games that I think Burnsville look back on and a little bit stronger defensively, limiting on some errors. The records say as they say for both these teams. I think that 6-7 can be a bit foolish on this Eagan team, coming off a real nice win Monday over Lakeville South, and feels like the Blaze they need to find a game to click to get into rhythm, winning their opening game this season, but nonsense.
Yep, I hear you. And that one catches Gage in the hip, so he's going to trot down to first, and that'll bring up the big first baseman, Tony Hiveri. Yeah, so I'm going to run you across the Blaze defense. We got Crumweed is going to be out in left field. Heckman will be in center. Tassa will be in right. Skoglund at third, Henke manning shortstop, as we mentioned before, the aforementioned Breezy at second, Lindsay at first, and then Ahern behind the plate with Nelson on the mound. So Gage, as I mentioned to you before, Hans, 4 for 7 on the year for stolen bases. So interesting to see if they try to get some action, get some movement on the bases. Highbury swinging at the first pitch, quickly down 0-1.
And a lot of those games this season for Burnsville too. We saw it here last week with Burnsville Community Media against Rosemount, some 2-out runs trying to, and those are the
Irish
backs.
Those are the backbreakers, as you know,
early.
right? Yeah, especially. There he goes. He's going to swipe that bag. Throw is late from Ahern. No, I think that's, as a pitcher myself, I mean, that's just, you work so hard to get those first 2 outs, and then something as simple as this, right? You hit a guy, you walk a guy, right? That was to say walks. I think this phrase is walks and ex-girlfriends tend to haunt you.
I like that one. I'm going to have to remember that one.
I saw a fan at a Mets game had that one years ago. I thought that was a pretty clever side. Little check swing to fall down the right field line. But what I'm getting at is you work so hard to get those first 2 outs. You feel like you're already 2 steps closer to getting to the dugout. And then, boom, a walk, an error, something might happen. Before you know it, somebody's on second, maybe a pass ball, still on base, a base hit. And all of a sudden you go, man, I was like 3 pitches away from a clean first inning.
I should know defensively, Burnsville, Crumweed last week, backpedaling, sprawling catch was a nice play against Rosemount. So some talent out there defensively, but these Eagan bats could keep them busy.
Right.
They're not getting the pitches, not getting the starts, the innings that they want. But Nelson's had to battle here. A couple good at bats.
Sure. 2-2 is the count. Swung on, ground ball off the glove of Skoglund. Gage is going to be rewounded by Butler home, and then there'll be the first run of the inning, as we just talked about, a 2-out run by the Wildcats, capitalizing on that hit by pitch, a stolen base, and the hot shot by Highbury. It looked like that one skipped kind of the last minute, didn't it, Hans?
Yeah.
Right after maybe the lip, and then that probably gave a little top spin. And I mean, he had his glove right on it, but I think it just kind of caught the top of his glove and then flipped out to the outfield. And in doing so, slowed it down enough that Gage obviously could just cruise into home.
Yep, not a whole lot. Skoglund, he had the glove there. The baseball in that grass infield, that can go any direction. Catches over his glove, great speed from second. Run comes in.
I always think it's interesting. We got Aiden Canty, the junior, set at the plate here, this second baseman with Highbury at first. Ball in the dirt, nice block there by Ahern. I always think it's interesting, I think you've watched enough baseball to notice this too, is that, I always feel bad for the third basemen because they're the ones that always seem to get the bad hops off the lip, whereas the first basemen have a lip as well, but you just don't see as many ground balls over there, right? Even when lefties are up, that they're not hitting it right down the line. So they don't deal with it as much. But, they I guess what they're going to counter with is that they're the ones that have to do all the bad scooping, right? On the bad throws from the infielders.
Got to give Highbury credit, too. He sat through that at-bat, was waiting on his pitch. That's good, solid contact, and definitely deserving to bring that first run in for Eagan.
2-0 pitch by Nelson outside for a ball. So Nelson had great command of the strike zone in the first 2 batters. Kind of falling back here a little bit here. Now with 2 outs here in the top of the first. Canty on the season, 258 average, 324 on base, 4 RBIs, 1 run. But he did have a nice game on Monday against Lakeville North. Had the first RBI of the day in the first inning on a single in the top of the first. Ended up with 2 RBIs and a walk. So, and I will mention this, you haven't seen Eagan play as much as I have, as you see Highbury take off, and that'll be ball 4. Canty, we might see it today. I think he's got some of the softest hands for a second baseman I've seen in the conference. I just the way that he can, his quickness side to side, but just as soft of his backhand and his front hand is, I've always been really impressed because there's some balls that'll have some crazy spin on that doesn't scare him at all, that he stays in front of and then just naturally just nonchalantly scoops up. So
yeah, what a skill set to even just have at this level. And from someone like you or these coaches, you see that in a player, and that's impressive. That speaks a lot about a player at this level and what they're able to do.
Fastball is going to get past Ahern. That's going to send Highbury to third as well as Canty to second. So quickly 1-0. This will be the junior right fielder, left-handed, the only lefty in the lineup or in the Eagan squad. Brody Illa. Brody on the season.
These Wildcats, some really battling through these at-bats here. I thought Nelson's control was actually really sharp to start this inning, but this is what Eagan know they can do to jump on a lead here early in this game. They've done just that so far.
Yep. Fastball misses in. Illa 407 on base. He's got the only triple on the season for the Wildcats. 3 RBIs, 2 runs, 1 for 1 on stolen bases. Illa was the winner of record on Monday in that 5-1 win at Lakeville North. Get more to that here in a second. Complete game, Hans. A 6-hitter with 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 1 walk. So about as perfect of an outing as you can get, other than maybe a complete game shutout.
You get that confidence on the mound. That leads into your team's at-bats. And I think that 6 and 7, it just feels harsh on this Eagan team. What did I write down? 5 losses by 3 runs or less this year. I mean, this in a competitive South Suburban, this has been an Eagan team, as you know, making that run to the section final last year. I got to believe this team will be in that mix certainly again.
Yeah, I think, and the nice thing that Eagan has is, I mean, they lost some really talented seniors, yes, but they had a lot of sophomores and juniors last year that got experience. So they're going to be ready to play big games as we watch Nelson walk Illa, and that'll bring up the center fielder, Drew Boyd. But I think that's also kind of, you mentioned too, the testament to the South Suburban, right? Because everybody plays everybody pretty darn tough throughout the season, and there just isn't really a whole lot of gimme wins. Like you noticed, I think it was early in the season, Lakeville North might have started off slow, and then all of a sudden they upset Farmington or somebody like that everybody was expecting to be the top dog, right? So we'll get more into the South Suburban and kind of where that standings lie later on here throughout the game, but it is as you know it, and that's one thing that we share, is that we both get to see a lot of these teams at least once or twice a season.
Yes.
And there's a lot of talent. I've always been really impressed with a lot of talent in the South Suburban. I mean, I would tell other people, friends of mine, guys I played college ball with, people back home in New Ulm, all these guys that are, you're going to watch Boyd get hit with a fastball. That's going to bring in Iveri. So now quickly 2-0 for the Wildcats. Only 2 pitches into the bat. And then that'll bring up the junior Jackson Dwyer, the left fielder. But what I've mentioned to people, and I think you've seen it, just kind of caught him up by the elbow inside. It's just the amount of high-end D1 players that are coming from the South Suburban. Which I think is a good reminder to kids in just Minnesota in general, that you don't have to be California, Florida, Texas, Nevada, places where you can play baseball all year to be seen and to end up at the higher prestigious programs.
Yeah, and what we always get here is a lot of multi-sport athletes.
Correct.
And that, they've done the statistics, they've done the science behind that, and what that means for a lot of these kids in developing athletic skills, life skills, and I think that's a really special aspect of the Twin Cities high school sports scene here. Is we get so much of that.
Yeah. So it's 1-1 here to Dwyer. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hot shot, 2-hopper. Nice scooped up play by Breezy. Throws over to Lindsay in time. Does a nice job to help Nelson to get out of the first. We're going to stay here, but for the recap of that inning, there was 2 runs on no hits, 1 error, and 3 left on. There we go. We're highlighting it, Hans, and ask and you shall receive from our wonderful director, Tim. Hans, run us through the South Suburban standings, bud.
You were saying it, Casey. I mean, Shakopee and Farmington have been 1 and 2 throughout the season so far, 2 teams that just go really deep. And teams like Eagan, teams like Burnsville have seen some of those close games just not go their way on. It's an inning that got away from a pitcher or a couple of errors type of situations. And Lakeville South right there just getting handed that 3rd loss of the season. But you got Eagan right in the mix, and sure, you're kind of looking at the final few games of the season.
Yeah.
But again, if you go through the schedules and game in and game out, what we're talking about, these kids playing 4 or 5 game weeks, that's a really strong group in the conference there that they're playing game in and game out. As take a look at the Blaze lineup, they're looking for their 2nd win of the season, with Liam Henke leading things off. Skoglund, Crumweed, and Heckman right there in the heart of that order at 2, 3, and 4. Breezy, how about that play at 2nd? We'll have to get back to that one. Heckman, Lindsay, Nelson, and Hassa rounding out the Blaze under their head coach, Justin Bannitz.
So I wonder, and I'll get to the Eagan defense here in a second. I wonder if Breezy heard me talking about Canty's glovemanship at second base, and he's like,
kidding.
hey, let's show these announcers that I got a sweet glove too. I got soft hands, right?
That was a tough
Eagan,
play.
Egan's outfield, we got Jackson Dwyer, as we mentioned, out in left. Getting kind of a spot start today. Drew Boyd moves over from left to center. Brody Illa out in right. Then Take 8 slides from center field over to the hot corner. Then they slide the hot corner man, Theo King, over to short. Aiden Canty and Tony Hiveri holding down the right side at second and first. And then, as we said, it's an exciting day for Mr. Number 1, Jacob Bjorkstrand, as he gets his first ever start behind the dish. And then he's going to be his battery mate. His Energy Bunny battery mate will be Wyatt Gelino. We do not have a sponsorship with Energizer, so Duracell, don't get mad at us. But we do have Wyatt Gelino, the freshman, on the mound. I'll give you some Gelino stats. And Gelino wasn't a guy, Hans, that was on the opening day roster, let's say, for the varsity, but found himself quickly up on this as a starter, as being part of the starting rotation. Gelino, so we can keep an eye on what he's throwing, is a fastball, changeup, slider pitcher, which is pretty common these days. I was mentioning to others that gone are the days of the curveball.
Yep.
I think of the 8 or 9 pitchers on Eagan. I think there's only 2 or 3 that actually throw a curveball, whereas pretty much everybody is fastball slider, right? It just seems like that's the new pitch. And then Gelino, though, on the year, 1-2 on 13 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 9 strikeouts to 5 walks with a 1.61 ERA. So pretty penciled thin ERA for the freshman. So impressive duties.
Ninth grader.
Yeah, by ninth grader,
kind of
right? Absolutely. So we're going to see how these Blaze hitters attack him early on as we see Liam Henke, the shortstop, settle in. First pitch, Gelino, is a fastball low for a ball.
I think key for Burnsville today and against a good arm like Gelino is especially in these couple innings, got to be aggressive at bats. Get the bat on the ball.
I know. Had
some at-bats last week against Rosemount. Really got away from them, led to some strikeouts, led to some base runners. But I'd expect Burnsville to, they're hungry for a win, and I'd expect them to be aggressive.
Yep. Quickly 2-0 here. Gelino probably a fastball, try to get over for a strike as he does. Yeah, I would say the exact same thing too. I think maybe a way to get a good hitting vibes going is maybe not like the leadoff batter, right, to start off the game, but to try to attack the zone early and often in the at bat.
Yep.
Instead of kind of playing defensive, where all of a sudden now it's now you're down in the at bat 1-2 and you're having to fight off sliders, you have to fight off fastballs, and now you're looking at an outside fastball, hoping he's not going to call it strike 3. Just being a little bit more aggressive, especially early on in the game. So 3-1 is our count. Here's Gelino's pitch to Henke, fouled back.
As I say that, Henke actually a couple of good pitches to lay off there, not jumping on a pitch there in at bat, but good job by Gelino, right back to a full count. I
always think that too. You watch enough baseball, you kind of there's like 2 versions of a leadoff hitter, right? And it's either the really fastball low, so Henke does his job and gets a leadoff walk. I think there's kind of two ways of a leadoff hitter. You either have the super aggressive leadoff hitter who's obviously fast and then knows his strike zone and isn't afraid to swing at any pitch, if not the first or second pitch. Yeah. And then you have more of the Joe Mauer approach, right? Like take a first strike, work some pitches, see what the pitcher has, let your guys in the dugout see what he has. But one way isn't right or the other. I think obviously the coaches just want to get that leadoff guy on, and usually that means that they're one of the quicker guys in the team. So we'll see if Henke tests out Bjorkland right away here early on. Fastball misses out, so Gelino kind of struggling to find the zone here early on. This is the third baseman, Sam Skoglund, at the plate. Henke at first with that leadoff walk.
Skoglund already with that tough defensive play at third.
Yep.
Trying to make up for that in an at-bat here.
Fastball on the outside corner there for a strike. I think so far we've seen from Gelino it's been all fastballs here early on, so no changeup, no sliders. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So what you notice there is, so he's got the wristband on that can give that they will shout out like their defensive coverages, right? Like in a 3 numeral sequence.
Yep.
So they just want to make sure that it was twisted down, so that way the white of the wristband wasn't distracting the pitcher as he was pulling his lead arm through, which is understandable.
Good catch there by the infield umpire.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we know he's locked in. That's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Throw over to Hiveri, not in time. Henke slides back safely. 1-2's our count. Bottom of the first, 2-0 with Eagan scoring both their runs in 2-out fashion in the top of the first against the starter Riley Nelson.
I should note that varsity start for Bjorkstrand behind home plate. That's a significant spot in a career like that, and learning how you're communicating with your pitchers. And he might know Jeleno well from some of the younger levels, but that's a big deal for a catcher at a varsity level like that. So great to see.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of a 2-2 pitch, popped up. I lost that one. Okay. Well, there we go. He liked the hustle and effort by Bjorklund trying to get his first out of the year, but Gage calls him off. Who did have a little bit better angle coming in, so I think those guys are okay with it as long as they get the out. So Jeleno retires Skoglund for the first out. Yeah, here goes Hans.
Maybe just a little more communication from might be the message of the coaches back to the dugout, but like you said, making the play. Bjorkstrand, right as we call him out, he has to get that's a tough spot, a tough place in his infield right behind home plate.
He wanted his first put out.
Yeah, exactly.
Fastball misses out. This is the left-handed hitting, left-handed throwing, and left fielder. So left, Alex Crumweed.
As mentioned, made a nice play out in the outfield last week against Rosemount, has good speed, so trying to get that speed on in the top of this lineup, along with those aggressive at-bats. That's going to be something the Blaze will be looking for here this afternoon.
Jeleno just missing low. He's doing. You can tell he's really trying to attack that, knees, right at the knees, and he's just not getting it yet. So I don't think he's missing by much. 2-0 to count to Crumweed with Henke at first. Reached on that leadoff walk. Ground ball, slow roller to Canty. Canty's have to hustle. Crumweed. I think Crumweed would have beat it out regardless on that slow roller. So now the Blaze with their first threat of the day with Crumweed at first and Henke at second. I think I would give that a hit personally.
Crumweed just, he's doing what he has to there. That's a really tough play there at second. You have to run up on that ball. Kind of an awkward angle to
get a throw.
Sidearm it there. Correct. A little bit of a football quarterback.
I mean, even if you can barehand it and do like a shovel throw, it's still, I don't know if it was going to get Crumweed at first. Plus, he's running from the left side, so he's already a step closer. So, but Jeleno doing his job of inducing that ground ball, but now first and second with one out. The number 4-6 steps to the plate. That's the center fielder, Colin Heckman. For the Blaze, Henke at second, Crumweed at first. Fast, there's a slider on the outside corner for a strike. Quickly 0-2 to Heckman.
Good response in this at-bat. Get a couple base runners behind you on the bases the first time, and in a game like this, two good pitchers in response. Yeah,
let your starter Nelson relax a little bit in the dugout. As there was a slider on the outside corner that Heckman had to wave at, so quickly now 2 outs as Jeleno gets his first strikeout of the day. That'll bring up the number 5 hitter, the second baseman, Adam Breezy.
2 guys on here, kind of feels like a spot Burnsville have run into this season. You have an opportunity. That's a good pitch, breaking ball. Chase trying to chase that down in the zone, and Heckman might have been sitting fastball there.
Yeah.
Good pitch with a couple guys on and trying to close this inning out now.
So 2 outs here. Jeleno's pitch. There's a fastball inside for a strike. Jeleno's got good size for a freshman, Got good length.
Absolutely.
For that whip motion that, all pitching coaches want.
Always respect the high Sox look. That's always great to see.
Exactly. You get it. That one, Bjorklund was doing a good job of keeping it in front, but that one just bounced right up top of the face mask. So he was doing a little bit of hockey play there.
That was the
goalie action.
Yeah, and that was a long turn at third by Henke. Heard a couple grumbles as he approached third, but
as you know too, at Al Magnet here, I mean, you can probably see it from the center field angle. Yeah, I mean it's a long distance to the backstop, and if it, like it did there, if it rolls up towards either of those dugouts, you very well could have a chance of seeing somebody take 2 bases.
Nope, no doubt about that. Had a look, thought about it. Probably better to pull up there at third.
Yeah.
Now even a bigger spot here, second and third for the Blaze. Down an account. Can you find a pitch you like? Drive something through the infield.
So 1-2 count here to Breezy. Here's the pitch, and that's going to hit Breezy. So we've watched both pitchers have a hit by pitch and a walk here in their first innings, and now both teams already have base load with 2 outs. So we'll see if Burnsville is able to capitalize like Eagan did in the first.
Well, Jeleno really did good that at bat. Got ahead in the count. Maybe just a breaking ball just didn't drop, and Breeze stood in the box. Just what any hitter has to do there, take that contact, and
I think
base is loaded here for Heckman.
I think he was trying to throw a fastball, in kind of in the hands, and just rose on him a little bit. There's a fastball inside for a strike to the left-handed hitting Braden Heckman, who's the designated hitter today. So he's hitting for the catcher. So he's hitting for Ahern today. So Nelson will be hitting for himself. Lunenborg is hitting for Jeleno on the Eagan side. Slow roller. It's going to be fair, and you can just take.
Yep. But never.
Okay, so there's a whole lot of confusion there.
Never signaled for a foul ball. That ball just caught the infield dirt, hung on down that first base line.
Yeah, I don't know if the hitter if he either thought it hit off his foot, because that's why the only reason I didn't think that he took off.
Oh boy. I mean, you tell me, Casey, if that ball caught the batter's box.
Well, that's what I'm wondering too, right?
It's right between his feet.
Or like even behind home plate. But yeah, I mean, you could see it. It just stayed on the baseline, and they're actually going to bring in the umpire here, the base ump, I think, to talk about it, because I thought, like I was saying, I thought that maybe that was one. I mean, they always tell hitters though, if it hits your foot, you got to play it off, right? You have to be able to jump around a little bit and act like your foot's on fire, right? And the hitter didn't do that in that scenario, so I thought that he thought it hit his foot, and that maybe he just assumed that it was going foul, and a whole lot of confusion. But I don't think that anything's getting overruled here, because I feel like if there was going to be anything, Hans, I think that base ump would have said something right away.
I mean, you tell me, and I would assume the baseball would have to be out in front of the batter's box for that to be a live ball.
Or even off the plate or in front of the plate. I think the issue that maybe Coach Bannon was saying was that ball was behind home plate.
Yep.
So how can it start in foul territory, end up being a fair ball on the line, right? I think that's his. And obviously you got to fight for your team with bases loaded and 2 outs, right?
Yep.
So, you know what, Hans? That's the beauty of baseball, right? You can do 100 games over the course of a couple years, and you've never seen that play, and then all of a sudden it happens, and you go, "What did I just see?" Right?
That truly is the beauty of it. You just never quite know. And good for Eagan. Take that momentum. Bases left full, and get your bats up and see if they can do what they've done a lot this season.
Hats off to Bjorklund, because he was Bjorkstrand, because he was about the only guy that actually went after the ball, made the play, and was like, okay, that's a third out. Even the Eagan defense was still standing out in the field like, is that a fair ball? Is the inning over? Can we come back in the dugout?
Yep.
Alrighty, so after all of that, we got Riley Nelson on the mound, and he's set to face the catcher, and that is the number 9 hitter, Jacob Bjorklund. So his first varsity bat here. Watching a nice curveball in there for a strike.
And first inning, varsity inning behind the plate was a busy one, was an active one.
Yes, it was.
He has to come right back up to the batter's box, try and get something started for Eagan.
Nelson's fastball misses out. I gotta see here, Bjorklund. That was the one thing I didn't write down what year he was. And he was called up as well. I don't think he was set up on the opening day roster for varsity, at least for the home opener. Bjorkstrand is a sophomore. There we go, Hans. He's a sophomore.
Nothing wrong with that. As we've talked about, these coaches have confidence in your players, and they're closely watching those JV, 9th grade, whatever levels, all the way up through middle school, looking for that talent, put them in a big spot like he is in this game.
Curveball that doesn't curve. The Uncle Charlie wasn't really a Charlie. That one went to the backstop. Yes. So 3-1 now the count to the sophomore. And one thing I wondered too with Bjorkstrand catching Jeleno today is if they maybe have some familiarity on JV maybe to start the season. Maybe Bjorkstrand caught Jeleno's first or second,
I think I mentioned that. Yeah, just for Bjorkstrand behind the plate, you build that relationship, that connection over a season, catcher and pitcher.
Yeah. Here's a 3-2. Swung on, through and missed for strike 3. On a high curveball that didn't really curve, but Bjorkstrand chased.
My first strikeout for Nelson, and he'll take that right now. Saw those bases and felt like a couple bad bounces drove in those first runs for Eagan. Starts off this inning with a strikeout.
Yeah, probably one of those pitches that, it wasn't a fastball. It was coming in juicy. It was up high. You can still get at you can still, rope a high pitch. But I think that just enough curve at the last minute to get down Bjorkstrand. There's a curveball in there for a strike to the leadoff hitter, the shortstop senior Theo King. If I remember correctly, Hans, you can remind me, I think King grounded out to second, I think, to start the game. Okay.
Back to, as we talked about in the first, though.
Yeah.
Yep. And back to kind of what we talked about. Some good pop, good power in the top of the Eagan lineup. You've gone through the numbers. And, you know, again, 6 and 7 on the win-losses, but the numbers offensively and defensively show the strength of this team.
There's a laser up the middle for a single by King. King yesterday was 1 for 3 with a run, an RBI and a walk, so I know that the Eagan squad is looking for their senior to get that bat nice and toasty for the rest of this regular season into the playoffs. And then now we're going to see the junior designated hitter today is Brandon Lundenborg. We already went over Lundenborg's numbers, really impressive. Leads the team in batting average at .389, a whopping .522 on base percentage, leads the team with 7 doubles, leads the team with 2 home runs, leads the team with 8 RBIs on the season. So King also a threat to steal, as King is 5 for 7 in stolen bases. Lundenborg yesterday hit his second home run. It was a 2-run homer in the 7th against North, and then he ended up 1 for 3 with those 2 RBIs yesterday. And he's kind of a guy that you've noticed that, you know, teams will try to pitch around. So that's what I've noticed with what Coach Butler has kind of done as the season's gone on, is he's kind of moved him up in the lineup to get him more at-bats. And then he's also moved Gage from the leadoff to the third spot, and like he moved like Will Mitchell down a spot. Put some hitters around him. And then what they typically do too is, with a lot of catchers, I mean, Lundenborg's got good speed, but you know, they'll bring in their speedster because why not use that courtesy type of runner, right? So they tend to bring in Sam Stefanski to run for him. So, you know, he gets on base a lot, as I said, .522. He only has 2 runs on the year, and those are from his 2 home runs. Poor guy never gets to score any runs.
And how about that first swing we saw from him this afternoon? It drove that ball, tested Heckman out there in center field already. So
I think the wind knocked that one down a little bit. I mean, he got underneath it, but I mean, off the bat, I didn't think it was a home run by any means, and that would be the deepest part of the park. But
tough sun right now too in the outfield.
Good call. So King's at first. We got 1 down with the strikeout to the catcher Bjorkstrand. So Nelson here on the mound. 2-1 count to the junior Lundenborg. Fastball up, and Lundenborg too, which you don't see very often, played even a little bit towards the end of his 8th grade year at varsity. So I'm sure there's a lot of opposing coaches that are waiting for next season to be like, okay, he's gone now, right?
Kind of working on too. There's spots where Coach Butler can look at this lineup and, like you said, you move a good hitter guy up into the order, get him more at bats.
There goes King. Curveball is out, which is ball 4, so that's the second walk for Nelson on the day. Bringing up the senior Tate Gage, playing third base today. More than likely, well, actually today he'll probably have to run. So there we go. So maybe Lundenborg will have a chance to get a run or 2 today in his stat sheet. Because with the DH, unless Coach Butler wants to pinch run for him and then re-enter him.
Second walk for Nelson already in this game. Got that first good strikeout, and his Wildcats taking pitches here so far, huh?
Yep, and Gage was the one that kind of started that rally last inning. Worked the count to, I believe it was 2-2, and then got hit in the hip on a curveball, and then came around to score on that air on third.
I'd like to see Nelson get a little bit more back to that fastball here in the second. Another breaking ball.
There's a rip shot to the gap. That's going to score 1, and we'll see if they send Lundenborg as well. It's going to get almost all the way to the base of the wall, and Lundenborg is going to ease in. A great relay. But the high throw from the shortstop, Henke, not in time, as Gage gets his first triple of the season, only the second triple of the year for the Wildcats. A great relay, I will say that. Heckman just threw a whale of a throw into the shortstop, Henke, who actually wasn't as deep as I thought he'd be. I thought he'd be out in the grass further. Here's the replay. You can run us through it here.
Yeah, sat back on that breaking ball, right as kind of saying Nelson should go back to that speed. That was as good of a relay from the bottom of that left center wall, but no problem for King and Lundenborg to make their way, just waltz around the bases, and a big hit here early for Eagan. Jump up by 4.
Yep, so 4-0 is our score. It's 1 out. You got the Blaze defense now playing in on the grass to try to keep that run in. A great read by Gage, and he's going to come in and score from third to make it a 5-0 second inning start.
Well, that's just having great awareness there at third. You're really keying in on that at-bat. You're looking for any ball, that big, lots of space as we talked about already.
That's a
Saw
great
that
read.
go behind goal.
That was a great read.
The
I
catcher.
think if the kids are watching, that's all about getting a respectable, comfortable lead at third, and just being ready to, once you see that ball in the dirt, be ready to get those first initial steps and really make the decision as if I'm going to go or if I'm going to stay.
How much at this level, ball 2 there, do coaches go over those small things? Those are such mental pieces to this game. You keeping yourself engaged in a game like this, and just boom, you take off on that reaction.
I think I think something like that, though, that's just something that you have to have done on your own, and have, you know what I mean, have taught yourself. Just with and that can be any position, any place on the bases, right? Whether you're at first, second, or third. At third, though, you have a real good view. You're that much closer to the home, so you can kind of get an idea of when it goes in the dirt. You can see which way it's gonna, is it gonna croom left? Is it gonna go straight? Is it gonna go back? Is it gonna go right? So we watch Iveri then take a 5-pitch walk to bring up the second baseman, Eagan Canty.
Once again, these Wildcats, they're waiting on their pitches. They're not jumping up anything on these at-bats early on, and it's been a big part of giving them a big lead here early on in Burnsville.
No, I think when you said it right before that triple by Gage, it seemed the second inning it's been a lot more off-speed by Nelson, whereas, in that first inning, especially the first, 2 batters when he got those quick 2 outs, it was a lot more fast, throwing a lot more fastballs and working on getting his curveball to work. Hot shot down the line. It's going to be fouled, though, by Canty. So now it's quickly 0-2. So we'll see what Nelson here comes back with on 0-2 with Iveri at first.
It's going to be disappointed after that first strikeout to start this inning, but saw it there going back to the fastball that Canty's pulled wide.
So here's our 0-2 pitch to Canty. Fastball up. Misses for a ball. Looks like we got some early action in the Burnsville bullpen. I didn't catch a number, but that's all right.
Maybe nothing more impressive than coaches having to manage these kids' arms with these 4 or 5 game weeks. You get 1 rain out, and your next week is really tough balance for these guys, and keeping themselves healthy at this level, and tough on the coaches too.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I think that's where, some of those, where you have those, weeks of 4 games. Laser foul, about 1.5 foot foul down the left field line by Canty.
Oh, with Iveri going there too. That would have been some real good speed headed for second base. Canty's. Yeah,
Iveri hasn't even attempted a stolen base this year, but big, strong kid is actually, I think, contemplating wants to play baseball or football in college, was a real good tight end for the Wildcats. We're going to see Canty if he gets his first steal of the year, and he does, as we watch Ahern's throw go into center. So Tony gets on the stat sheet, 1 for 1 with swipes. So 3-2 count now to Canty. So Canty doing a nice job of working the count back in his favor.
Confidence on the bases too early on for Eagan in this one. Good jump. Take your slide into second base. Ball trickled into center.
Here's our 3-2. Popped up. Coming close to us. Everybody's safe in the crowd. We like that, Hans.
Did not bring my gloves, so if one comes out,
I was ready. I was tracking it. I'm going
to rely on you. How's that sound?
See, we got the replays everywhere. Look at this.
Look at that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good job by Winter running our replay in the truck.
Absolutely.
Another one. That one we see Ahern catching it up.
Oh my! I think they're gonna give him that.
Okay.
No.
I love the effort by Ahern. Had the home plate umpire fooled us, that one went off the fence, and then a Superman dive.
I mean, that's a great effort. To track that ball in the air like that, catch it off of the fence.
I don't know if
almost have to give him that one.
I don't know if the home plate ump was just kind of playing along and just kind of gave him the outside, or if he actually thought that ball never touched the fence.
No, clearly did. Another walk, another good at bat. Eagan continuing to really take these good at bats, and it's led to base runners.
Hans in 1.5 innings, and now we've seen 2 things that we might not see in the next 100 games that we call. I don't think I've ever seen.
No doubt about
I don't
that.
think I've ever seen a catcher Superman dive to catch a foul ball that was clearly off the backstop.
I'm just glad we have our TV crew to. Who knows what's up next?
And the umpire actually called the out for a second.
We're gonna capture it all here for you in Burnsville.
Oh boy, holy cow! We still got some more innings here yet. All right, so our score is 5-0. We're getting a little serious here now. Brody Illa, the lefty junior, steps to the plate. We got Canty at first, and then we have Iveri, who stole his first base of the season at second. Both reached on a walk.
I was checking on something there over by third. I'm not sure if
I think they were just saying that they needed to close the gate for the bullpen.
Oh,
I think
okay,
that was the only thing. All right, I'll tell you what, that base ump is locked in today.
on top of it. Yep.
He is checking everything, and he might yell and he might call time and have us tie our shoes at some point. We don't know. 2-0 count. Here's Nelson's pitch. In the dirt, gets past Aher. That's going to send the runners to second and to third. Only one out here. Wildcats struck with 3 runs, highlighted by that 2-run triple by Gage, who then came in to score on the very next pitch on an excellent read at third on a pass ball.
Well, just saw some frustration there from Nelson, and feeling like he's had a couple of these pitches get away.
Right.
Go back to what you know, just try and find some good pitches into
There it
the
is.
zone and gets one there with the strike. That's
A little get over fastball there on
Yep.
3-0.
Yep.
Yeah,
Trying to find that spot.
It is tough as a pitcher, right? Because there's times where you just feel like you're working so hard, you're out on this island, and you're just either just not getting the curveball to snap the way you want it to, or maybe you're just missing by an inch or two on the corners, or just a little bit below the knees. Fastball misses up and in. So that's the third walk in a row, bringing up the center fielder, Drew Boyd. Drew Boyd is a sophomore, and we're going to see our first mound visit here today.
Yeah, just a couple of at-bats there where Nelson got off to the strong start, started off with that strikeout, and then a couple pitches, you're just not finding your spots, not finding your zone, and that's what they're going over right now, just trying to bring things back in with your infield and coaches. That's what you do in a spot like this, but you got to give Eagan some credit too, some really good at-bats.
Yeah,
in
not
these
giving
first
in,
2
right?
innings.
Not giving in,
Yep.
especially after they kind of noticed that Nelson was struggling with the curveball, to start this second inning. He did get that first out of the inning on that strikeout to the number 9 hitter. Bjorkstrand did run that count to 3-2, but got him with that high curveball to strike him out. And then after that, it went, King with a single, a walk, and then a triple, and then now some more walks. Only 2 hits so far for the Wildcats, but they do have those 5 runs.
We've kind of gone over the Eagan schedule, and if I had it down correctly, there were a couple games before that win on Monday where this Eagan team had some struggles offensively, weren't finding a lot of runs on the scoreboard. And tell you what, this is a perfect time of the season right now, second half of the year. You get that big one on Monday, you're out to a good start today. That can lead to some really good things for Eagan and their competitive schedule as we've gone over so far. As
No,
strike
absolutely.
one.
I mean, they got a big game tomorrow against Rosemont on Senior Day, so this is a potential for them to have a real good kind of feel-good week, right? Try to get some wins as they start off the week with that win 5-1 against Lakefield North on Monday. Another big swing by Boyd. So Nelson doing a nice job here getting ahead early. This will be the big pitch now on 0-2 to see what he can do to potentially retire Boyd. And then they do take on a top 10 ranked team in Cretin-Durham Hall on Saturday. So they got some big games coming up as well. There's a nice curveball by Nelson as he goes 1-2-3 for a strikeout on Boyd, and that'll bring up the left fielder Jackson Dwyer, the junior. Dwyer, 5 runs on the season, 1 for 2 in his stolen bases. Hasn't had a lot of plate appearances. Coming in today, he only had 6 plate appearances. So he takes a rip on his first pitch that he sees, but fouls down the left field line.
Well, good for Nelson there, and meeting on the mound just kind of pauses things, slows things down a little bit. Comes back with that good curve.
I wasn't trying to be overly critical, but I kind of thought the same thing. I thought, in the first, after it was bases loaded with 2 outs, I thought that would have been a perfect time just to kind of come out there and just go, okay, we got 2 outs. Where are we going with the ball?
Yep.
Where do we want to attack this hitter? Instead of just kind of having him to be out there forced to just kind of work through it on his own. Shot to center, nice diving catch by Heckman. Hung up just long enough for Heckman to take a couple steps in a dive with a big save there, as he saved probably 2 runs from coming across, as he was able to make that diving catch on Dwyer. Yeah, so after that inning, the Wildcats, they do get 3 runs on 2 hits. no errors, and 3 left on. Back in 60 seconds here for the bottom of the second on Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media.
A habit we never skip, to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game? To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health. Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mental health. Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Hey, we're back here, Casey Lux and Hans Bristol, on this co-op production of Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media. It's 5-0 here early on, going in the bottom of the second as the Blaze are going to come to the plate. We're going to see the first baseman step in, and that's going to be Mr. Micah Lindsay. And Hans, you're obviously really familiar with Burnsville Community Media as you do some games for the Blaze and for other teams, right?
Absolutely. Always lucky to have the great crew have me out here and Burnsville here, and I know Eagan as well too. It's always great to be part of these productions, and so it's really important part to the community, and always get great responses from people, and it's the people behind the truck doing the magic. So in my case, we just get to show up and
yap a little bit.
Most of the time act like we know what we're talking about,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Have some fun. Try to give some insight.
When the weather works out with us like this too, this time of year, as you well know, you never quite know what.
Wow, we've been pretty fortunate this year.
Sure have.
You know, that first week or so, there's a few chilly days in there, but after that, we've been pretty lucky. I think the teams have been really fortunate too, because I know for Eagan's case, for themselves, they've only had 2 rainouts. And one was that storm way back when. I think it was on a Monday. No, excuse me. It was on like a Wednesday. That there was worries of large hail and maybe tornadoes. So they called it early at like noon, and then there was not even a drop of rain in the cities. But
that's going to happen too,
right? And then there was that day where there was 4 or so tornado sightings on a Monday that they called on Sunday, which that was a smart move too. So they've been able to not have too many of those weeks that you mentioned where you're playing 4 games in 5 days, which obviously is very taxing on the pitching, the relievers and so forth. So Lindsay steps in for his first at bat. He is the number 7 hitter in the lineup. The Blaze did threaten with bases loaded in the top of the first as we watch Lindsay kind of get sawed a little bit there. That's going to be Canty a couple steps back on the grass for the out as he retires Lindsay. Jelno working quickly here in the second inning, and that'll bring up the pitcher, Riley Nelson.
Well, it's not exactly an easy play there at second either. He kind of backpedaling, had to angle his body a little bit, and that breeze kind of coming our direction here at the ballpark as well.
I was going to mention, Hans, too. I mean, it's been a steady wind out to kind of right center / left to right, but then, that last inning, all of a sudden it looked like the flag was kind of whipping in from right center. So we're getting a little bit of I don't know what you want to call it.
The breeze has been all over the place.
A little
You're right.
wraparound wind
since
today,
we got
right?
here. Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to tell if it's at our back, if it's across us, or if it's coming at us. As we watch that one, that's going to make it out of the park, fouled away. That's quickly 0-2 to the pitcher mano-a-mano matchup here of Jelno versus Nelson. There, look at that. Old Glory flowing in the wind.
No doubt about it. Great to have this kind of weather and baseball back.
There's a big strikeout there by Jelno as he went heater up high and in. I think that, what would that be, his second strikeout of the day or third, Hans?
I've got that down as number 2.
Okay. All right.
He's throwing those kind of pitches that feel like it should have been more, and that's just a good fastball behind it.
Nelson was looking for fastball. I mean, he took a nice, healthy hack there.
Yep.
All right, number 9 hitter is going to be Luke Tassa. First pitch, grounder, 3-hopper to Canty. Fields flips to Highbury in time. So quickly done, 1, 2, 3, no runs and no hits, no errors, nobody left on. We'll be back in 60 seconds for the top of the third between Burnsville and Eagan.
I wish I had time.
Scrolling all day, time can disappear. Wanna make it count, why not volunteer?
Posting pics of your food, that takes up time. Maybe just eat me, I don't really mind.
Time, you've got time. As your reflection, it's my duty to say.
Time, I've got time.
All my pics are the same.
I am some eggs.
10 hours a week deciding where to go eat.
Well, where do you want to eat? Maybe let's not go out to eat.
You paint your walls from cream to white, then from white to cream, then back to white.
Time, you've got time to binge all of season 9, though it got so bad.
Time, you've got time. We're gonna grow back and be the same brows you had.
Time, you got time.
Listen to my plea as I harmonize.
Time, you've got time.
Zooba-doo-bop, wow.
Just a few hours to keep families from harm. Help us end home fires with Sound the Alarm.
Volunteer for a day to install free smoke alarms in your community.
All right, we got Eye of the Tiger going, Hans. So I don't know. You think that the home team would want that playing when they were coming out to the field, but you know what? This could be the new pitcher's, walk-up pitching music, right? We got Maverick Eastman in relief now of Riley Nelson. So number 8 Eastman now in the game. It looks like Nelson is out because he didn't go out to the field. So we'll see what Maverick has to offer here shortly.
Well, he's trying to see if they can replicate what Eagan was just able to put together there. A quick defensive inning, and it's going to be tricky to do against this Wildcat lineup, but Nelson off the mound. Eastman back out there.
So for the second straight inning, here's one for you that you don't see all very often, but first pitch swinging. Bjorkstrand is welcome to the Wildcats moment with a base hit up the middle. 1 for 2, 500 on the year for the sophomore catcher. Gets a nice applause from the bench. Going to see a courtesy runner in Sam Stefanski. I think that was the first pitch that he saw. Was that the first pitch or the second pitch of the at-bat?
I just added his pitch number 2, and boy, tell you what, for early in an at-bat, a varsity career like that, couple of extra cheers there.
Yeah.
Great moment from the Eagan dugout.
It's good to see when the team rallies around you, right? So Bjorkstrand gets his first hit. What I was just about to say was the rarity of the number 9 hitter leading off inning 2 times in a row, because Bjorkstrand led off the top of the second and now had a lead off the top of the third. So the leadoff hitter is a shortstop senior, Theo King. Groundsman foul, scooped up by head coach Steve Butler. His staff is pitching coach is Luke Degermont, and then his assistants are Zach Walls and Paul Weinberg. On the Blaze side, as you know, you're very familiar with head coach Justin Bannett, and then he's assisted by Brad Schiller, Sam Schliemann, and Michael Holmquist.
Obviously a new look of a Burnsville team this year. Coach Bannett really working with a lot of new guys and some new players. It was a 12-win Burnsville team last year. They had 10 wins in conference play. They specifically liked 2 of those matchups against Rosemount. They got red hot toward the end of this season.
Watch that popped up to left field to Crumweed as he takes about 3 steps to his left to retire King. The speedy Stefanski, as I mentioned, who is also a sophomore, is 6 for 8 on the season as a base stealer. So, like I said, primarily courtesy running for the catcher, Lunenborg. And now it looks like the flag is kind of quiet, so we're just kind of getting a little bit of everything here today. But another beautiful day, as we saw before, was at first pitch time, 71 degrees. We watched the junior step in, Brandon at Lunenborg. Steps up to the plate, flew out to center in his first at-bat. There's a wild throw that's going to get past Lindsay. It's going to send Stefanski to second, and I think they're going to bring him all the way to third. We're going to watch the relay from Lindsay to third, not in time. Stefanski dives A double slide right there, Hans. He slid into first on that pickoff attempt and slid head first into third as he scooted from first all the way to third on that pass, on that overthrow by the pitcher Eastman. So
you want to talk about having a unique role and a big part of a team like that. You bring your guys out who have speed and they know those type of scenarios, and that's heads up, using your legs.
And Lunenborg takes a hit by pitch. Is that his second one, or did he get walked in the first or second at bat?
That was a walk in the second. Yep.
Okay, but we've seen 3 Eagan hitters all get hit here so far in this early game.
It's similar to one
right
Nelson
the elbow, I think.
Had earlier. Just kind of caught him and stays in the box, does what a hitter does, takes that contact.
I kind of feel for Ahern there, because I think he might have taken the brunt of it on that ricochet that took him on like the inside of his thigh there.
I think so too.
Okay, so Lunenberg's at first, scored his third run of the season in the second inning, as he doesn't get to get courtesy ran for today since he's the designated hitter, not the catcher. Stefanski, who's running for Bjorkstrand, who picked up his first ever varsity hit.
Saw Lunenborg, I think, jump, trying to take second, and Gage hold a foul ball in that last at bat in the second.
Gage, a 302 average coming into today. I think that's going to be called a balk if you're. You can step off the rubber, but if once you bring your arm up, you have to throw it. Plus, the other thing is as you maybe know as well, Hans, is that one thing that they outlawed I think 2-3 years ago was the old like fake to third, then throw to first move, right, for a pitcher. Or if it was a lefty, it could be a fake to first and whip around, go to third. Yep, and that was a balk. Yep. So he did, as you can see here, Hanser, he does, he does step off correctly, but once he, essentially what they say is once he engages in it, right, by bringing that ball out of his glove, if he just steps off and just kind of, tweaks his elbow or his shoulder, that's fine.
On Stefanski having on the overthrow there to first.
Yeah, how big is that?
Gets himself down to third, and you just have to put yourself in scenarios where you can score runs.
There's a nice piece hitting there by the senior Gage as he goes with the pitch to right field. We might have a play at the plate here. The relay to Lindsay, to Ahern, not in time. That's going to send Gage down to second as Lunenborg comes all the way in on the single, and the nice piece of hitting by the senior Gage, and that'll be RBI number 5 for Gage on the season. Gage puts himself into scoring position on that bad bounce on that relay from Lindsay to Ahern. Here's that replay here, Hans.
More heads-up base running here from the Wildcats. Great speed from Lunenborg, as you said, doesn't always run in every game. That ball gets away at home a little bit. Get yourself over to second base, another runner in scoring position.
Yeah, our college coach and other coaches that I've had always said, when you're a base runner, you just kind of watch the TV, right? Watch everything in front of you, make your decision, make it quick, know what you're going to do, think ahead. Curveball misses out by Eastman. This is the senior first baseman, Tony Hiveri. Tony on the season, .395 on base percentage, .241 average. He's got the 1 home run, 4 RBIs coming in today with 4 runs scored. And then already scored 1 earlier today.
Just a lot of things Wildcats have done well in this game so far.
Base running for
little
sure.
things, the base running and the heads up on
taking
where
the
that
extra
ball
bases.
is at all time. And that's
correct. Big swing, fouled over to the third base dugout.
That's what coaches, they're going to be in those discussions now. You get halfway through a regular season, and they had some great playoff matchups, last year, and some real close games, and those are the types of plays and you want in this regular season scenario.
Correct.
That could be a win or loss on a playoff spot and a jump to second, putting yourself in a scoring position, and that's what they want to be seeing right now.
Another one fouled down third baseline, fouled. No, exactly. That's exactly it. So last year, Eagan was similar, middle of the pack, maybe in a little bit lower in the regular season. Very similar situation. A lot of close games lost, or games that they had to lead late and then weren't able to hold on, or maybe a bad error or two that allowed either the visiting or the home team to take advantage and win. But then Eagan, being on the bottom seat, had to go on the road twice and got those wins early and put themselves in the driver's seat. Fastball in there for a ball as we see Gage swipe another base. Now 5 for 8 on the season. Or did you have one earlier, maybe even?
I did have one there in stolen base there in the first.
Okay, so we got him up to 6 for 9. But yeah, then, the unfortunate thing was Wildcats just weren't able to get it done as Eastview won both games in the section final right here on the same field at Alameda Park.
Boy, that's Section 3, year in and year out. So competitive. One-run games, close games, year in and year out. As you said, right here, hosted in Burnsville.
Junior second baseman Aiden Canty steps to the plate. What's Canty done here so far in his first 2 at-bats?
Reached back in the second on a walk on an error in the first, helping that OPS. Nothing wrong with that. On base twice here this afternoon.
So Hiveria at first. He stole his first stolen base of the season in the second inning. And Gage at third. Gage with the biggest hit of the day so far. That was a 2-run triple to left center. And then came in on the very next pitch on a pass ball.
Go back to Bjorkstrand, starting a little bit of a spark, some energy with that first varsity hits all the way to kick things off in this third inning, and Wildcats have fed off of that, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, Wildcats have put up a crooked number every inning here. They had 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 so far here in the third, up 7-0. Looking to get the bats nice and hot for their matchup tomorrow against Rosemont. Curveball, nice pitch in there for a strike for Eastman, in relief of the starter Riley Nelson that just went the first 2 innings. That's the only change that we've seen so far by either squads.
Yep, Eastman's had to face the heart of this Wildcats lineup that's just, as we've talked about, sharp on the bases.
Fouled, out of play.
Right time of year, you want guys having confident at-bats and making good contact. That's what we've seen from the Wildcats so far. And doing it at the right time, you can build off a win like you got on Monday.
Yeah.
Dropping the 2 previous games, I believe, on their schedule so far this season.
2-2 count here. Here's our pitch from Eastman. Curveball up. Hivery looking for stolen base number 2. Cut off. Relay not in time to Gage. A little bit of a collision. Hivery's going to go to third. Hivery takes a big round, but it's going to stay at third. Looks like Gage is all right. He's a tough running back on the football squad, so he's okay.
No doubt about that.
If that was the play to cut it off, you in theory, Hans, and this is armchair quarterback here, right? But in theory, you probably want that shortstop to cut it off even another couple feet closer, right? You just want to shorten that throw because, you have to, and that's why a lot of times you see where that guy's going to go home from third, right? A lot of people sit there and go, "Oh man, I can't believe you're still going to try to score from third on that." Well, they have to make 2 throws. They have to make 2 good throws. They have to make the throw to the cutoff, and then the shortstop or second baseman has to make the sharp throw home. And as we saw, he threw it up the line. That's what allowed that collision. One hopper to Breezy. Breezy's throw home is going to be wide, and that's going to send Canty to second, so Canty's going to pick up an RBI. Right move by Breezy with the infield playing in. Nice job fielding it, but throw took Ahern off home plate, allowing Hivery to score, and we're quickly at 9-0 here.
Yeah, and the aggressive play here, trying to take that out from home, trying to make a defensive play and get a little momentum back. Unfortunately, the throw just a bit off the mark there from the Blaze. They're doing the right thing. You attack home plate no matter what, and collision there at home as well. Everybody gets up okay after that.
I can see, what Breezy's thinking. He's thinking, bigger guy at third. It's not one of the speedsters, so to say, and I could get that out at home. It was a quick hot shot to second. It's always a tough play. Yes, that's what the coaches probably want you to do, but you could just get that out and be that much closer to getting your guys back to the dugout, right? Because now, now without even getting it out, now you don't even have a force because Canty now slides over to second. So that fastball almost nicks Illa, the junior left-handed hitting right fielder. Illa, as we mentioned, coming into today had the only triple on the season until Gage hit that one in the second inning. 3 RBIs coming in today. 2 runs scored. Fastball on the outside corner is in for a strike. Really good on-base percentage at .407. And actually, with this long delay of an inning, Hans, we're going to watch the freshman Jelno is going to go out to the pen with pitching coach Luke Degerman, just throw a little bit and try to stay loose.
Kind of always think that, your offense, building the padding, building the lead, you always want to go back down the mound with that, but that arm sits around and gets a little, gets a little, as you said there, so.
Get a little tight, you know what I mean? It just, you don't need to go crazy, just throw it at like 70%, right? Just get the blood flowing. Big swing by Illa, but that's going to be fouled away. 2-2 count, 1 out. 9-0 is our score. Only 3 hits on the board for the Wildcats. They've really taken advantage of, as you said, Hans, the base running aspect of the game of stealing bases, taking pass balls. There's been 3 errors by Burnsville, but then there's been obviously 3 hit by pitches. There's been some walks in there. But as you mentioned too, Hans, I thought that was a good point, was that the patience of the Eagan hitters, of just not kind of giving in to whether it was Nelson in the second inning or Eastman here in his first inning pitching here in the third.
Well, it's been a great example. 2 walks, 2 at-bats here so far today. So that's what's put them in these spots to build this lead.
There's a nice curveball there on the outside corner by Eastman that Illis swings through for a strikeout. That's Eastman's first strikeout of the day. That'll be 2 outs here now. We're going to bring in a pinch hitter, it looks like. The junior, Will Mitchell. Mitchell on the year tends to bat kind of in that 3-4-5 range. Hitting 263, 356 on base, 1 double, 6 RBIs, 2 runs, and a clean 3 for 3 on the stolen bases. Was 1 for 4 against Lakeville North on Monday. Mitchell tends to be a kind of a jack of all trades as he blasts one to center field. Does Heckman have enough room? And he does. Wynn held that one up. That one was tagged pretty well by Mitchell, but Heckman does a nice job retreating about 10 feet to make that catch straight away center. So the Wildcats, they do get 4 runs on 1 hit, 2 errors, and 1 left on. 9-0 is our score. We're here brought to you by the co-op of ETV and Burnsville Community Media. We'll be back in 60 seconds for the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
And I hope everybody was paying attention to that last commercial, Hans, because Smokey the Bear, his famous words that he said for 100 years now, only you can prevent wildfires, right? You know that. Especially when it's dry here in the spring.
Absolutely.
Okay? You're going to be burning garbage in your backyard. Be smart. Okay, that's our little Smokey the Bear message for everybody. You got anything on the wildfire word?
Especially this time of year. Got to be careful. We all want to have those,
windy,
those bonfires.
dry.
We get that wind here in Minnesota. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, enough of that. So we got Wyatt Gelino, the freshman, back on the mound here for the bottom of the 3rd. Cruising along here so far. He's going to face the leadoff hitter. I believe it'll be Liam Henke will be the first batter he'll see, the shortstop. And Bjorkstrand obviously excited to get behind the plate after the sophomore gets not only his first ever start behind the plate for varsity for the Wildcats, but in his second at bat he roped that second pitch that he saw for a base hit right up the middle to welcome the new pitcher Maverick Eastman.
Not a bad afternoon so far.
Not a bad afternoon.
Varsity career started off like that. I think he
keeps it going. He might get a Dairy Queen Blizzard maybe from the parents of the coach, right?
Absolutely. They're I think you could get these kids at this age. I think you could get them to. I think they'd be up for that. No doubt about that.
So we're gonna see Henke step in. What Henke do his first at bat against Gelino?
On a walk down all the way around to 3rd on a error and a wild pitch. Couldn't bring him around to score with the Blaze leaving the bases full there back in the 1st.
Yep. So we're going to see how Gelino handles that long inning of relaxing in the dugout. Another high hopper to King. Fields it in time. Strong throw. Nice job by King. Got a great jump, a beat on that play. Fielded that ball kind of in front of second base on the grass. Strong throw. On time, on target to Iveri. I thought at first that was going to be Canty's ball, but obviously there was some good communication.
We've talked about all the strong base running, strong offensive. Been some really sharp defensive plays here from Eagan so far as well, and you combined with some heads-up offensive base running and good defense, that's going to get you a long way in any ball game.
Sam Skoglund steps in, the third baseman for the Blaze against Jeleno.
How about the third? Back in the first, kept it in the infield.
I think you mentioned that Jeleno had 2 strikeouts in those first 2 innings.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, strikeouts in the first.
2 walks or 1?
Strikeout in the second. I only have 1 walk here so far.
Okay, 1 walk.
And you keep up those kind of numbers as well. That is going to get any starter a long way.
1-1 count. Fastball misses low. Jeleno's pitching repertoire is a fastball, slider, and a changeup. Hasn't thrown too many changeups today. It's been pretty much fastball heavy with a few sliders. He did get his pitching cohort Nelson on a slider.
Saw the bases get full there in the first, but he's been,
other than that, he's been cruising.
He's been in control there from the start. And 9th grader, you talked about at this level getting these kind of starts, and
really impressive. Yeah,
I think I jotted down, had a nice start earlier this season against Rosemount in a win.
Watch 1 hopper back to Jeleno as he underhand tosses over to Hiveri. Yeah, you said it was it Rosemount you mentioned?
Yep, Rosemount, 5 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, April 16th.
Yeah, and that was a 1-0 game at Rosemount.
Yep.
So, and I think they probably, they have a rotation. Obviously, most high schools do of their pitching staff of the order that they're throwing their pitchers. But it is kind of nice when it lines up that you're not throwing like Jeleno both games against the same team, right? You can have other teams can see somebody else. So that way, I was curious today who was pitching today. If it was going to be Jeleno, if it was going to be Mitchell, and I figured that they didn't want to throw Jeleno tomorrow on senior day against Rosemont for the second time. 0-1's the count. Fastball misses low and in. This is Alex Crumweed, the left fielder, left-handed hitting, left fielder, left-handed throwing. Left fielder.
Kind of get a quality starter out of a starter like that. And we've already talked about the scheduling they have to deal with this time of year. A lot from different weather conditions, whatnot there, ball 2. But you can get a start like that, boy, that really sets up your other aspects of your rotation to go out and have a good start in a game likely tomorrow, likely the day after.
Swung on, pop foul. Is it going to give enough room for Boyd? No. And I think Crumweed, if I remember correctly, is kind of a hard-throwing reliever, too, for the Blaze, right? He pitches? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I've seen him come in from left field and kind of, it seems like he has some good snap to him.
Position in a game like this right now could certainly see that be the case.
There's a 2-0, just fouled back. Just enough to stay alive. Good job by Crumweed on that slider.
Saw him make the catch last week in the outfield defensively, and today Hackman, the diving catch.
Yeah.
Is currently in that on-deck circle.
Correct. Yeah, you know what, and at the time when Heckman made that play, that was a big out because it was bases loaded with a 5-0 score in the second that he came in and made that diving catch to end the inning. So at that time, he's thinking, well, that could be the game-saving play.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 hopper over to Hiveri, who flips underhand to Jeleno. A quick 1, 2, 3 complete inning for Jeleno. So for the Blaze, no runs on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Back in 60 seconds for the top of the 4th here at Al Magnet Park.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Emma, did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
Back here on Eagan TV with the co-op with Burnsville Community Media. We've got a whole lot of changes here for you, Hans, so we'll see if we can make sure that we get them all correctly. We do have a new pitcher. We're going to bring in the shortstop. Liam Hankey is going to come in for Eastman, and then that's going to move the third baseman, Skoglund, over to short. Then we're going to see a slide from first, and we're going to see Lindsay. Micah Lindsay is going to go from first base to the hot corner over to third. And then we're going to bring in Heckman from center field to first. And if I had my beanie coolers, I'd tell you who's playing center. It looks like it's Crumweed, and then I would like to guess that Eastman is in left, but that's about the only one we might not have right.
I think you did a pretty good job
there.
That's
pretty good, right? That's a whole lot of swapping around.
I'll let you do that part. That was well done.
Yeah.
Hankey coming up to the mound, experienced arm, experienced player on this Burnsville team, trying to see if they can slow down some Eagan base runners.
Yeah, first pitch swinging, that was Drew Boyd. That's going to find Lindsay right away. It looks like kind of maybe might have caught him in the knee. That was a hot shot. It was like a two-hopper over to third. He probably wasn't looking forward to the first pitch for moving over from first base.
I did have that as Jackson Dwyer starting.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Dwyer. You're right.
Yep,
no, you're right.
Making sure I'm right on that.
Yep. Nope, you're right. Alrighty. And like I said, the only one that we have to maybe double check on is if it's who's out and left, but we'll find that out. Alrighty, first, there's a strike on the outside corner by Hankey. We got the catcher up now, Bjorkstrand. 1-for-1 on his varsity debut.
Have that hit
hot
back
shot
in the
up the
third,
middle,
yep.
Yeah, right up the middle.
Big round of applause from his teammates, as rightfully so.
So then Dwyer, 1-for-2 on the season in stolen bases. Hankey must know that. He's a threat to run as he throws over to Heckman.
It was a great moment. Bjorkstand's been busy behind home plate too here today.
Yep.
Welcome to the varsity level. Have yourself a busy afternoon.
Curveball misses out. That gets past Ahern. That's going to send Dwyer to second. 9-0 is our score here. Top of the fourth. Beautiful day at Al Magna Park. Wind has died down. At first pitch, they were saying it was about 9 miles an hour of wind that was heading out to right center on a nice, cool 71. Perfect day.
Kind of felt that breeze, that wind, do a little bit of everything here this afternoon.
Yeah, I think it probably held up 1 or 2 balls, in that first or second inning. But other than that, it really hasn't, came into play anything, in the infield or made anything really overly difficult on, infield pop-ups per se.
Seen that sunshine just find it's peeking down a little bit. It helps that infield and outfield. That kind of goes right at him these early afternoon games.
There's the 1-2 pitch, hit to center. Crumweed is going to come in. That's going to fall right in front of him. It's going to send Dwyer to third. A strong throw by Crumweed to Lindsay, but not in time. So look at the sophomore, the catcher. Gets his second. He says, you know what, why have one hit? Why bat 500 when you can bat 667? Another big round of applause.
That is well deserved.
So we're going to see the leadoff hitter now come up. That's the senior shortstop, Theo King, who I think has a hit up the middle. That was in the second, I believe.
Second inning.
Started a rally.
Reached on that hit. Sharp ground out and a pop out deep to left back there in the third.
Okay, so Sam Stefanski's going to come in and courtesy run again. It was always a threat to steal. As we mentioned, Stefanski is 6 for 8 on the season, and he's the one that went first to third on that failed pickoff attempt.
This is, again, you're just seeing the consistency up and down the lineup. The Wildcats getting production, and that's what you want to see a lineup develop as throughout a season, facing good teams night in and night out.
Yep. Fastball misses out by Hankey, so 1-1's a count.
Should mention is the second meeting between these two teams, as Eagan got that win over Burnsville earlier in the season, trying to make it a conference rival sweep.
Yep. Big rip to right, but right at Tassa. Dwyer is going to attempt to score, and the ball pops out of Ahern's glove as Dwyer does score, and King gets an RBI to right, as well as Stefanski taking up smartly to second. Two almost like scary collisions here we've had at home plate already. One on a relay that was a little bit of a wild throw from the first base relay to Gage, and then that one was kind of a bang-bang play too. The throw kind of forced Ahern maybe a step or so up the line. And I think if Aaron catches that, he's out, but it just popped out of his glove as he was getting ready to apply the tag. Junior Brandon Lunenborg, the designated hitter today, hitting for the pitcher, freshman Wyatt Gelino, will step in. What's Lunenborg done so far today?
Lunenborg in this one, just that walk back in the second, hit by a pitch in the third, so that.
And then pop up in the first.
Yep. So keeping those on-base numbers, as you've gone over a couple times already. That's
he's
really been strong at this part of the lineup.
522. Yeah, 522, 7 doubles, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. Leads the team in all those categories.
Yeah, that's just consistency, and to have that kind of player, just a heartbeat of an offense.
That one is hit pretty well to left, but it's not going to have enough, especially with this wind, as we believe that was Eastman that's going to retire Lunenborg.
The second time we've seen that power, Lunenborg get out into
just
the
got
outfield.
underneath that one. That one had the launch angle. You know, if we had the major league stats, they might tell us what that launch angle was and what parks it would have been gone at. But I think the wind held that one a little bit, and he got underneath it a little bit too as well.
You were right. Eastman off the mound, gets out to left field, and
look at my eyes out there.
Has to play very sharp. Has to play with this breeze. Tough pop out there to left.
Senior Tate Gage steps in the plate, set to play baseball at Concordia St. Paul next year.
And that big RBI triple there in the second. Followed that up with a 2-for-3 afternoon here in this one so far. Hit by a pitch in the first. 2 for 2, I should say.
Yeah,
on base 3 times.
Yeah, Henke gets that curveball in there for a strike. 2 outs here with Gage at the plate. Primarily the Wildcats center fielder, but has played a little bit of third base at times when needed. Another fastball outside for a strike. Henke now quickly up 1-2, 2 outs. 10-0 is our score. Wildcats have 4 hits on the day, but taking advantage of those 5 errors by the Blaze, as well as walks and hit by pitches, as we mentioned. That was the formula to get 10 runs and only 4 hits.
Yep, absolutely.
Big swing right through, but that'll be strike 3. As Gage is retired on Henke's curveball. But the Wildcats do strike for their 10th run, so 1 run on that. 1 hit, 2 errors, and 1 left on. Back in 60 seconds for the bottom of the 4th here at Al Magnet Park.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Hans, walk us through these highlights here, big guy.
Yeah, it's been all Cats all afternoon so far, jumping back in that first inning with some heads-up base running there behind home plate. Got to give credit on that one diving effort behind the plate, but again,
I just couldn't stop laughing, Hans.
Eagan bats getting those balls into competitive spaces, and that's just what they've done. Found the green with that big
that was
drive that brought in there from Gage.
Yeah, that was a single to right, but just a really nice piece of hitting. Going with the pitch and going with it to right. That was that play that we were talking about where there was infield was in. They hit it to the second baseman. The throw was a little wild to Ahern's left and had a little bit of a collision at home plate, but everybody was okay for it. So we watching Gelino, who's throwing a nice game here, freshman on the mound. As we mentioned before, this is his 4th start on the season. Came in today with 13 innings pitched, a 1-2 record with that 1-0 win over Rosemont. Only 3 earned runs, though. That's really impressive. And some bad luck there because obviously only 3 earned runs, yet he has 2 losses. And then 9-5 strikeout to walk ratio with a pencil thin 1.61 ERA. We're going to see the now first baseman, but he started off the day in the center field spot, was in number 4 hitter is Colin Heckman. Gelino's pitch is another strike on the outside corner of the knees that Heckman dislikes, and now it's quickly 0-2 to number 4 Heckman.
Heckman just one of 2 strikeout victims
Sure.
so far from Jeleno's done a great job, gotten
Yeah.
a lot of that contact
Yeah.
that has not been strong enough from Burnsville, competitive in these at-bats and
what's-
ground outs.
what we talked about early on, he wasn't getting in the first inning, but he's really been doing a nice job of keeping the ball at the knees. And then as you're watching here to Heckman, he's just trying to work fastballs on the outside corner. So I'm interested to see if he goes slider here on, and he does. So he goes slider on 1-2, gets his 3rd strikeout of the day, and the 2nd strikeout against Heckman. He got Heckman on a outside slider the first time. That time he kind of came in with a backdoor slider on the inside.
Oh, and I think Heckman kind of was blown away. That Bjorkstrand right there behind home plate got that ball into his glove. Got a piece of the bat, but good play there behind home plate. Catch that ball in the air.
Second baseman's Adam Breezy as we watch that changeup up high for a ball.
Oh, and you talk about those combinations on those couple of strikeouts, and that just shows a guy on the mound just confident with his stuff, knowing what he can go to and getting to know this lineup. Second way, there's a couple of ways through here now, and goes right back to it, gets his 3rd K.
So 2-1s are counted. Watch another nice fastball on the outside corner for a strike as the scoreboard looks like it's a little bit behind us. And that's going to end up being the first hit of the day for the Blaze. We did a good job of not doing the announcer's jinx as the no-hitter was still intact here going into the top of the 4th, and the potential of having maybe a 5-inning no-hitter, right? So less pitches on Jeleno's hand if this score holds on. But a nice piece of hitting there by Breezy, just kind of muscling that one out to shallow center field. I didn't think that Canty was going to get there and be able to dive for it. So I saw once it was hit so softly that even if there was a play at first, that Breezy would obviously more than likely beat that throw. So.
Yeah, 2 good at-bats for Breezy. Bright spot in this game for Burnsville.
Yep.
Hit by a pitch in the 1st, and it's the Blaze, as you said. Crooked number into the hits in this game.
This is the designated hitter, and it's Braden Heckman, the left-handed hitter. So 2 lefties in their lineup with Crumweed and Braden Heckman. And we'll see if they try to test Bjorkstrand's arm here as Breezy is at first with 1 out here. 2-0 count to the designated hitter Heckman. Fastball misses low, so quickly 3-0 to the DH.
And it feels like a spot here now for the Blaze to try and make a little bit of noise here in the 4th. Get that base runner on. Favorable count now.
Well, and you'd like to think that they want to get over fastball. I mean, they got pride, right? So they don't want to get 10 run, especially at home. So they want to try to get some runs across the board and get their at bats in, get some more situations in throughout 7 innings as opposed to potentially only playing 5 innings. There's a ground ball, could be 2. Hit to King. He's going to step on 2. Relay in time to Highbury. Goes King unassisted at 2. Relay to Highbury, and Jeleno gets the pitcher's best friend as he coaxes that inning-ending double play. So for the Burnsville Blaze, they get no runs on 1 hit, the first hit of the day, no errors, and nobody left on. Our score is 10-0. Back here in 60 seconds on Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media.
There are a lot of temptations facing young people today, like electronic cigarettes and skateboarding. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. This can lead today's youth to a lifelong addiction and severe lung damage. Recall and consider the facts before making a poor decision.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
When I look at all these success stories, I cannot help but think it all started by getting my high school diploma.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
We're back here on Eagan TV, co-opted with Burnsville Community Media. You know, this is a perfect segue here, Hans, and I'm Casey Lux with Hans Bristol. Perfect segue to thank all the wonderful people behind the broadcast today. We got Tim, our director, in the truck with Winter running the replays. Josh is on graphics, and then the camera crew out in the beautiful weather and the elements. Rachel, Ken, and Emmett. Can't thank you guys enough. As I've said many times, Hans did too before. Just a wonderful thing that Eagan TV as well as Burnsville Community Media does in providing not just baseball, but so many other high school activities and athletics. You know, being able to show these for the kids that they can watch after the game. They live on YouTube, so they can watch it, 10 years from now and so forth, as well as, family members that are out of state. They can't make it to the game. It's just a wonderful aspect that they bring to the community here at Eagan TV as well as Burnsville Community Media. So with that being said, we're going to watch as Benke's in for his second inning as he came in relief of Eastman, who came in relief of Nelson. And we're going to get a pinch hitter, and that's going to be Brendan Madiman. He's going to get an at-bat. And I got the stats ready for you in a second here, Hanser. Fastball is in there for a strike, 1-1 count. So this is only Madiman's fifth plate appearance of the year. He does have 2 runs scored, and he has a .250 on-base percentage. Primarily, Brendan is a pitcher, so he's one of the 4 main starters for the Wildcat. So doesn't get a lot of at-bats, but getting his 5th of the season today.
Nothing wrong with that, and stretching into your roster, stretching into your lineup, getting everybody with a lead like this gives you some opportunities and some at-bats up and down your roster.
Nice job by Madiman fouling off these last 2 pitches. The count is 1-2, and we're going to see another pinch hitter. It's going to be Sam Stefanski, the speedster. He's going to get his first varsity at bat. He's primarily been a pinch runner all season, and he's a sophomore as well. So a couple sophomores getting some at bats here today. Ball's in the dirt for ball 2.
And you always like to have those opportunities to do just that. Get guys at bats, get them looks at the plate. Game in and game out, you're really relying on your depth of talent all season.
2-2 pitch, fouled back again by Madiman. The interesting factor too, Hans, at least on the Eagan side, is when it comes to the hitters, they only have 3 seniors, and they're everyday players. And King, who, like I said, typically the third baseman playing short today, Gage, the center fielder, and Hiveria at first. So, a lot of these sophomores and juniors are really getting a lot of plate appearances this season for the Wildcats, as the remaining seniors are on the pitching side. So strike 3 on the outside corner. Nice curveball there by Benke. That's going to retire Madiman. That's going to bring up Sam Stefanski, and he's going to get his first ever varsity at bat, the sophomore. So he's going to see Benke here in a 10-0 game as Benke gets his first strikeout or second?
That would be his second that he's had in this one so far.
Okay. So Stefanski's going to settle in, and Benke's looking to Ahern for his signs, and we're ready and running here with 1 out here in the top of the 5th.
Nice sophomore and juniors class. These, if you want to look ahead, which we can, of course, do the next season or 2. I think you're going to see Eagan up in that top 3 or 4 of this conference. I think and you've already seen it this year, but the kind of numbers that you've gone through a lot in this game are really strong and not a team that's senior driven. So you're going to have experience coming back, and they're going to be competitive in the conference and section.
Just like every year, you're going to have some big shoes to fill as we watch Stefanski improve that on-base percentage. He takes that curveball off the elbow. But as I mentioned, though, all their starting pitchers, right, their rotation, you have junior in Illa, junior in Mitchell, you got a freshman in Gelino, and you got a sophomore in Madiman. Those are your starters. So they're not going to lose any senior starting pitchers. This will be Jack Rappa who's going to step in. Rappa's a senior. He's got this will be his 4th plate appearance of the season. He's got the impressive .667 on-base percentage. And he has scored 1 run, but he's looking for his first hit on the season. Stefanski at first, probably going to be held. We're going to see Rappa take one to right. It's going to get past Tassa. We're going to see Rappa glide into second for a double for his first hit on the season. Stefanski's going to come and score all the way from first. So senior Jack Rappa, an Eagan favorite, gets his first hit of the season, an RBI double. That brings in Stefanski all the way from first.
How about that? Stefanski on the bases in a great spot. We've already seen that speed. That's a tough play in the outfield, just coming up a bit short, trying to track that one down. And Stefanski from first, he's thinking home in the second that ball comes off the bat. What an at-bat there from Rappa.
Excellent effort by Tassa. He obviously was super close to it because I think he got his glove on it because When that ball landed, it didn't run 20 feet past him. You know what I mean? I thought, if he dives and misses it, there's nobody there to back it up. I mean, Rappa could be on third, so he got a piece of it. Just missed it by a hair out in right field. So
absolutely.
Here's our pitch. We're gonna see who's up here. Trying to see who we got here. Well, our score is 11-0.
I think it should still.
I think it's Boyd. Yeah, Drew Boyd.
Back to Boyd.
Yep. Boyd's going to pop this one up to right. It's going to be out to, who's going to call it? It's not going to be caught by Breezy. So Rappa's going to stay at second, kind of in between land between Tassa and Breezy. I think the sun might have got him. Maybe could have been a play that Tassa, the right fielder, would have called him off on, because that one got past Breezy for a base hit. So I think that'll be the second hit of the inning.
That would be.
Tassa was right there.
Dropping in, yep. Yeah. Just kind of needing to have that communication right there. Drifting, tough spot for a second baseman, drifting out to that right field spot.
Bjorkstrand, excuse me, that's not Bjorkstrand, that's Jackson Dwyer. He's going to hit this one out to center. That's going to be caught by Crumweed for the second out of the inning. So first pitch swinging was Dwyer. Bring up the catcher, the sophomore, having a game today here for his first varsity start. Jacob Bjorkstrand, 2 for 3 today.
Keeping this Burnsville outfield busy. It's a tough catch too, kind of drifting to the left there for Crumweed. He's able to track that down, holds the runners at first and second. Bjorkstrand, we've talked about him a lot today. Yeah. Single in the third, and that single in the fourth as well. A couple of hits.
Hans,
debut.
It's like a TV production dream, right? When you can kind of highlight a kid and kind of pump him up on the broadcast, and comes through for you with the 2 big hits and doing a really nice job behind the plate for Jeleno, as Jeleno only gave up that 1 hit last inning so far. So the scoreboard is incorrect. So I think the fans know that the Blaze have a hit, because they didn't give it an error because it wasn't an error, it was a hit. So Bjorkstrand, another hot shot up the middle. That's going to be off the glove of the pitcher, Benke. Throw not in time from Breezy. Nice job by Breezy, though. Came flying up to field that cleanly. Threw a nice throw over to first. Actually, a nice dig by Lindsay at first to scoop it up. Bjorkstrand's going to reach on an infield single. So I think we're going to give him three hits on the day here.
Absolutely, and it would be deserved, and uses that speed and
just got it.
Play it first.
Just got it. Yep, just safe. That was a nice call by the ump. Good angle. Really nice, like I said, really nice dig by Lindsay at first. We're going to see Jackson Sehalis, the senior reliever, who's set to pitch at Bethel next year, going to get a little running duty, a little courtesy duty. Jackson's doing a little bit of everything today. I saw him have the catcher's gear on, because that's usually Bjorkstrand's job of being the bullpen catcher. So Sehalis was doing the warming up. So bases are loaded here, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. This is going to be Andrew Lekas, the senior. Excuse me, I think Lekas, I might be dating him here. I might be giving him the wrong age. Nope, he is a senior. So Lekas is getting some big hacks here. You can hear it in our ear. The dugout's going wild. So Lekas, he's a tough guy. He doesn't even wear batting gloves, Hans.
No,
just give me a bat, I'll go swing it.
Love to see that.
So Andrew's primarily a relief pitcher, and he's called upon quite often. And he takes a curveball for strike 3, much to the dismay of the Eagan dugout. So after all that fun there, in the top of the 5th, the Wildcats do score 1 run on those 2 hits, no errors, and 3 left on. Our score is 11-0. Here on Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media, back in 60 seconds for the bottom of the 5th inning.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
All right. Casey Lux, Hans Bristol here at Alamagna Park. 11-0 is our score as Jeleno, the freshman, comes out hoping to have this be his last inning and get that 11-0 5-inning 10-run rule. We got not a whole lot of changes after all those pinch hits, but the main one is we're going to have Jack Rappa, who got his first hit of the season, an RBI double last inning when he pinch hit for Brody Illa. So Rappa's going to stay in the field here in right. And we're going to watch the Blaze. They're going to be sending up their 7, 8, 9 hitters. We're going to start with Micah Lindsay, who's been busy. He's been flipping and flopping here today, Hans. He started off the day at first base, went and played an inning or so at third, and then now he came back over to first. So he's going to step in. And what has Lindsay done here so far against Jeleno?
Boy, Jeleno's been so efficient. Only second at bat right now this game for Lindsay. Had a sharp ground out over to second base in the second inning. And boy, you put all the pieces together like Eagan have, and one of those has been Jeleno with really competitive at-bats. He's got himself ahead in counts, and if he can find a way to close this one out here in the fifth, that would be the cherry on top here for these Wildcats.
Well, just like you said, so Jeleno had that first inning where he had a walk, the leadoff walk, and then there was an Eagan error in there, and he did a nice job of stranding 3 base runners in the first. After that, he went second and third, and he went 1-2-3, 1-2-3. And then in the fourth inning, he finally gave up his first hit of the game, but really retired the inning, then still found a way to retire it with 3 batters because he got the inning-ending double play. So he's been very close to pitching to the minimum amount of batters possible, right? So 1-2 count. Here's a pitch to Lindsay. It's going to be a fastball just missing outside corner. Bjorkstrand jumped up as he's ready to snap that one around the corner for a strikeout, but just missed outside. So 2-2 is our count to Lindsay. 11-0 is our score here at Alamagna Park. Beautiful day here on Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media. There's a base hit down the line by Lindsay, getting past Gage. A nice job there by Boyd of corralling and getting to it quickly to hold Lindsay to a leadoff single, but a nice piece of hitting there by Lindsay, jumping on that inside fastball.
Yeah, and Jeleno's been so good along those corners. That last pitch before might have felt like he should have gotten that one, but Lindsay stays himself competitive in the at-bat, pulls that one down the third base line, and gives Blaze a base runner here. No outs in this bottom of the fifth.
So it would have been interesting if that would have been the first hit of the game, right? Yes. You get to the bottom of the fifth, need 3 more outs, and then you give up the no-hitter. But 2 hits on the board for the Blaze as we watch the Eagan dugout disperse as that foul ball that Eastman fisted off kind of there went over towards their dugout. So quickly 0-1. And this is Maverick Eastman, who came in relief of the starter Riley Nelson and then went out to left when Benke came in. Another foul ball to right by Eastman. Just misses the old forward 150.
Eastman now batting in for Nelson here in the fifth.
This is first at bat, I take it, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so middle infield set up for double play depth. See a excuse me swing there. Chiveri makes the play on first, throws the second to King, but Lindsay is in there safely. King would have had to provide a tag anyways, but Lindsay didn't even need to slide there. So 1 out as we see the right fielder Luke Tassa come up. They told me, the Coach Bannett told me Tassa like NASA. That's how he said for the last name, right?
I like that. That's helpful. That's what we announcers do name, and that is the first Burnsville base runner in scoring position since the first inning.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, all right.
Not a first of the game
since
the first.
You had me on the edge of my seat there.
Oh, Jeleno has been hitting his spots, getting good contact. Still only with those 3 strikeouts so far. That's all he's needed.
There's a nice shot to right. That's going to be fielded by Rappa. We're going to see if they're going to send Lindsay. They are going to send Lindsay. So Burnsville's going to get on the board on that RBI single by the number 9 hitter, Tassa. So Lindsay gets a base hit down the line to start the inning. Moves the second on that fielder's choice by Eastman and comes in to score on the base hit RBI by Tassa. Tassa fouled 2 off towards the right side and then went with the pitch and hit that one hopper right at Rappa. That took kind of a funky bounce on him and allowed Lindsay to come around to score. Leadoff hitter is going to be Liam Henke. Started the game at short and pitched the 4th and the 5th inning for the Blaze. First pitch is a slider in there for a ball with Tassa on first.
First Blaze hitter with a 3rd at-bat in this game with a walk and a ground out. But good for this Burnsville lineup, bottom of the order. A couple of good swings from we saw Lindsay and then Tassa there out to right field, like you said, draws in that run. Little bright spots you're looking for in a game like this.
Yep. Fastball misses out, so now it's 3-0, to Henke. And Blaze are trying to get at least one more runner across to continue this game and not be a victim of the 10-run rule. So 3-0 count, 1 out. Here's the pitch, fastball outside corner for a strike.
Gonna stay confident, saw it with the pitch right there. He knows he's got that double play behind him. Nothing to
jinxing myself here, but one of those rare games where you haven't even seen a mound visit from the Eagan pitching coach, Luke Degermont.
Yep.
Fastball misses out, and maybe we'll see one. I maybe spoke too soon, but now we're going to have runners on first and second with 1 out. Number 2 hitter in the lineup is going to be Sam Skoglund. Started the game at 3rd and moved over to shortstop when Henke came in to pitch. So Tassa at 2nd with that RBI single, and now Henke at 1st. We're going to see our first not call to the bullpen, but bullpen action as Camden Sexton's going to get loose, and I think, it looks like Camden Sexton's going to get loose. Camden's set to pitch and play baseball next year at St. John's. So a couple of the Wildcats are still kind of undecided. I think like Theo King and Highbury are kind of figuring out what they're going to plan on doing. Here's a grounder. I think they're only going to be able to get 1. This is going to be Canty's. Throw is not in time. So an infield single for Skoglund as he just kind of found the sweet spot. Ball was deaded by that grass that bounced over Jeleno's head. Canty had to come flying in from second. And that'll be the 3rd hit of the inning, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 3rd hit of the inning. That Blaze going to feel like they're going to have some competitive at-bats here and just find themselves a little bit of life.
I think that was actually off the home plate. I think that's what deadened that one. Nice scoop by Highbury there.
Tough bounce. Good throw still to get that play over to first. Didn't throw it wide or anything.
So 1-0 count here to Alex Crumweed. Started in left, moved over to center. Left-handed hitter. Grounder to Jeleno. Jeleno is going to turn around and didn't know where to go with it. Now we're going to have another play at the plate. 2 runs are going to come in. So hit right back at Jeleno, and Jeleno's first reaction was to go to first with it. Then he realized that there's bases loaded, wanted a double play. Quickly turned, looked to second, then decided to come home with it to try to get a force at home, and in doing so rushed his throw, pulled Bjorkstrand off the base, and then the wild throw allowed not only Tassa to score, but also Henke. So a whole lot there, Hans.
Yeah, and just kind of get that ball beamed back to you, and we kind of get too late into an inning and had that 1 out. I'd like for him to try and turn that throw to second, try and get that double play. But all happened a bit too fast, and Blaze able to tally on 2 more here in the 5th.
Yep, so Blaze now have runners on second and third. Grounder to Jeleno. He's not going to field it cleanly, but a nice dig by Highbury to get the out at first. So another run will come in to score, which is Skoglund. So Burnsville putting up 4 here in the bottom of the 5th to extend this game. Jeleno did a nice job though recovering, kind of rushed to field the ball, didn't field it cleanly, and also rushed his throw, but the steady and sturdy first baseman on Highbury, who's got some really soft mitts, does a really nice job over there. Made some digs last year that were Kenny Herbeck-like, and he was able to scoop that up for the second out. We see a strike in there for a first pitch strike to Is this Heckman? Yes.
Should still be Breeze.
Okay, Breezy.
Breezy, I believe. Yep.
Yep, that was Heckman. That was just retired. There we go.
Give the Blaze some credit, getting balls in play, and that's what you have to do here in a deficit like this. They found a way to post a 4 spot here in the 5th and get themselves a little bit of life back into this game. Absolutely.
Yep. Check swing for a strike, so now it's 0-2 with 2 outs here. It's 11-4 is our score. As we mentioned, Gelino, the freshman, didn't give up a hit until the 4th inning, and then now this inning, though, the Blaze have countered with 3 hits and plenty of runners and played it across 4 runs here so far, still with Crumweed at third.
Breezy 2 times on base. Hit by a pitch in the first, had the first hit. For the Blaze back in the 4th.
Slow roller, routine, Canty to Highbury for the final out of the 5th. So hold on, folks. You're not going anywhere yet because this game has been extended. The Blaze get 4 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, and 1 left on. Back in 60 seconds for the top of the 6th here on Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes. Look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you got to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong. Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
There we go, getting a little camera view of some of the fans in the stands as it's 11-4 here. Casey Lux and Hans Bristol as we watch Lunenburg hit one over to third, and he's going to be safe at first with no throw. 11-4 is our score here. Alamagnet Field.
Sharply hit ball that took a tough bounce there at third for that Burnsville third baseman. Just a sharply hit ball, and going to be bringing a runner on here at first base for Lunenburg. Seemed to make great contact in this game, and a little bit of a collision, between him and Easy there at first base.
Yeah, it looks like Matthias Dennert is over at third now. That was they snuck him in when they brought Lindsay back over. Ground ball by Gage, scooped up by Henke as he flips over to Lindsay in time for the first out of the inning. That's going to send the pinch runner, which is number 4, which I believe is J.D. Krieger. Yep, number 4, J.D. Krieger, came in to run for Lunenburg. And now we're going to see the big first baseman, Tony Highbury, step in.
Highbury's had a busy day, a couple of walks in the second and third, reached down and air back in the first.
And there's a rip by the big guy, but it's going to be nicely played by Crumweed. Crumweed's going to throw back into second, and they're going to double up Krieger. Krieger took off in the crack of the bat thinking that was going to be a sure, no doubt double. And in doing so, a nice job by Crumweed, not only retrieving to make that play, but then also to have a strong throw to double up Krieger. No runs on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Back in 60 for the bottom of the 6th inning here at Alamagnet Park.
When I look at all these success stories, I cannot help but think it all started by getting my high school diploma.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because it felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Back here, Almagna Park, Casey Lux, Hans, Bristol. Once again, want to thank our wonderful crew. We got a co-op today of Eagan TV and Burnsville Community Media. Tim, our director. Winter running the replay. Josh on the graphics, and our lovely camera crew of Rachel, Ken, and Emmett. We got a new pitcher on the mound for the Wildcats. It's a senior, and it's Camden Sexton. Left-handed pitching, going to St. John's to play baseball next year. Sexton on the year. 3 appearances, so this is his 4th time on the field. Only 2 innings, so it's been more of a kind of a spot duty, coming in with runners on base or with outs already on the board. 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 1 K on the season for Sexton, and it's an 11-4 game. So lefty pitching now. I believe he's the only lefty on the Eagan staff as well. So Eagan in a kind of a rare move. They only have 1 lefty hitter and 1 lefty thrower.
And you got to give credit to Jeleno on that start here tonight as well. With those really solid 5 innings, Burnsville scraping across a couple there in the 4th, or in the 5th, I should say, but hard to critique a start like that.
No, absolutely. So designated hitter can be Braden Heckman as he's going to settle in. So a lefty-lefty matchup here. First pitch in there for a strike by Sexton. Yeah, you know, and you kind of wonder too. It didn't seem as if Jeleno was like tiring per se. I mean, the speeds weren't any slower on his fastball.
Yep.
I think, but you have to also kind of factor in a little bit. He had some long innings of sitting in the bench, right? I mean, you look at the Wildcats put up 2 in the first, but they put up 3 in the second and 4 in the third. And that third was especially the long inning where he actually went back out to warm up. They put up a single run in the 4th, a single run in the 5th. But even those innings were longer, played out innings, even with just the 1 run. So you can wonder maybe if that was a little bit more, just losing a little bit of his preciseness, his precision, I guess, in the bottom of the 5th. But you got to credit the Blaze. I mean, Lindsay started that inning off with a hard shot down the third base line, second hit of the game, and then before you know it was bases loaded, and a couple things went the Burnsville Blaze way, and they found a way to extend this game and make it 11-4. And we're in the bottom of the 6th here at Almagna Park. It's a 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. Lefty popped up. This is going to be to King at short as he calls off Canty for the first out. Sexton doing his job. We're going to see now Micah Lindsay, who's played first, moved over to third and back over to first. And as we aforementioned, had the big hit to start the rally last inning.
That's good. Good pitch. Chased it down in the zone, trying to chase it to the outside corner by that new arm on the mound, Camden Sexton, as you said, the left-hander. A couple of good pitches in that first at-bat. Now Lindsay, you just started talking about, sparked that good offensive inning last inning for Burnsville.
Here's his first pitch to Lindsay. Fastball or curveball swung on, missed. And he's one of the 2 guys that do throw a curveball. So Sexton, fastball, curveball, changeup pitcher. And you can see that was a sharp curveball right away into the righty's knees. Back foot there by Sexton. 0-1, there's our count. Here's our pitch. Fastball ripped on to left. Going to be right in front of the left fielder Boyd. So Lindsay bumping up that average now with the 2 for 3 day, correct?
Yep, absolutely. Second hit of the afternoon. Another good strong contact. Will find his way down to first with then that first run to come around and score in the 5th as well. And a good swing, good contact there for Lindsay.
Yep. Maverick Eastman come in. He's the number 8 hitter in the lineup. He's played a myriad of positions today. He came in the game as the first reliever, pitched the 3rd inning, and then moved over, played some outfield. Then he came in to play 3rd once Lindsay moved back to 1st. So wearing many hats today.
Round out down to short in what was his first at-bat. Nelson only 1 at-bat in this game with a strikeout. As he said, he's had a busy afternoon. He's covered a lot of the diamond.
fouls that one straight back to us. 1-1 is our count. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Got Lindsay over at first. Eastman at the plate. We'll see how big of a lead Lindsay gets. It doesn't look like he wants to take too big of a lead because he hasn't seen a move yet from the lefty Sexton. Bjorkstrand just can't squeeze that one, but yet it's wouldn't matter because it's 1-2. Eagan has kept the same infield and outfield other than the senior Jack Rappa, who came in and got his first hit of the season for a double, playing in right field for Brody Illa. Nice job by Bjorkstrand. Look at, ooh, nice play by Bjorkstrand. So a strike 3 scoop. Looked like Eastman kind of retired himself as he didn't even attempt to run to first, but in doing so, Bjorkstrand with a strong throw to second almost got the strike him out, throw him out, inning-ending double play there, Hans.
Yeah, sure did, and I was watching Lindsay. He hesitated kind of about halfway to second, which you never want to see a base runner do, and might have just gotten that foot under a glove. Good tag there from short from the Wildcats.
Yeah, strong throw by Bjorkstrand. Good scoop by
Good
King.
Too.
Here comes a 3-hopper to King. King's going to field it. His throw across the diamond to Highbury is in time to retire the number 9 hitter, Tassa. So the Blaze do get that one hit by Lindsay, but no runs are scored. No errors and that one left on. 11-4 is our score. Back in 60 seconds for more South Suburban Conference action here at Al Magnet Park.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
CWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
Wait, use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, there's our dog of the day, 2 dogs of the day, 3 dogs of the day. Holy cow, the dogs just keep multiplying over there.
Oh, the furry friends, they love the ballpark too, right?
Exactly.
Happy to be outside. They're the ones stuck indoors all winter. They're always happy to have this time of year.
71-degree day it was at first pitch with about 9-mile-an-hour wind going out to right center field. Now it looks like it's kind of whipping back towards us from right center field. Henke, the shortstop, started the day at short. He's going to settle in. This will be his 4th inning of duty if he can finish it out. First pitch swinging is the second baseman, the junior Aiden Canty, at the plate. What's Canty done here so far today?
Well, the last at-bat was Hansky, who reached hit by a pitch, but for Canty so far, did have that single in the 3rd, 2 walks in the 1st and 2nd. So, boy, talk about some good at-bats from the Wildcats today, boosting up everybody's on-base percentage. And always good to see.
So as we kind of mentioned, too, a little bit about the South Suburban, Wildcats did beat Lakeville North at Lakeville North on Monday 5-1 as we watch Canty. Nice piece of hitting. Goes with that curveball, flips it out to right field to Tassa. We're going to see Jack Rappa, the senior, come up. As far as Burnsville, yesterday they lost 8-2 to Farmington.
That's good contact there from Canty. Now again, and KC, knowing this Eagan team well, we kind of touched on some of those real good matchups they've got upcoming. And this game's, of course, not over, but kind of going forward here for this Eagan team, as this one is lifted pretty well to left center field. Left fielder there for Burnsville.
Eastman
drift over and make that catch.
Yeah, Eastman's going to make the catch as they retire Rappa. We're going to see left center fielder Drew Boyd come up. Burnsville, though, 8-2 against Farmington. As we watch, that one just popped up.
And what I wanted to ask there, Casey, is what do you see these Wildcats attacking these next couple of matchups? And you've got that game against Rosemount coming up, and you certainly don't want to overlook that one. And non-conference action, great, really nice good Creighton team on Saturday and Shakopee Monday. I mean, looking at the result here, kind of finding yourself back to the 500 mark, and some real big opportunities coming up for these Wildcats.
No, absolutely. Like I said, they got Rosemont tomorrow at home for Senior Day as we watch another curveball that's going to be flipped out to right. That's going to be corralled and caught by Tassa. Burnsville, I was trying to kind of get through all these real quick here, but we keep having quick at-bats here. But Burnsville didn't lost to Prior Lake on Monday 10-3. They did win their opener, like you said, against Rosemont 7-3. So Burnsville came in today 1-8 on the road, 0-4 at home. So still looking for their first home win. Eagan, you kind of flip that around. They start off the year 3-0 at home. They're 4-2 overall at home, and they're 2-5 on the road. So both teams, and we now see another quick swing here. That's going to be popped up. Looks like it's going to be called by Breezy as he make the catch. So quick inning there, swinging quickly by the Wildcats as Canty did reach early, but no runs on one hit. No errors and one left on. Back in 60 seconds for the bottom of the seventh. It's 11-4 here at Alameda Park.
Listen up, team. When I look around this room, I see a fighting team of brave antibodies. But the flu is coming in strong. The good news is, Anthony, the human we're tasked to protect, just got his flu shot, which supplied us with strong new gear to defend against the flu. So let's go fight for Anthony. Are you with me?
Let's work as a team to defend against the flu. Gear up with a flu shot to help protect others and reduce your risk of being sick or hospitalized with the flu. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
When I look at all these success stories, I cannot help but think it all started by getting my high school diploma.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
All right, we're back here. Alameda Park, 11-4 is our score. 5 hits for Burnsville. I think the Hans was saying that there was 7 hits by the Wildcats, so that wasn't correctly on the scoreboard yet. But getting back to your point, Hans, as you were talking a little bit of the upcoming games here on the Wildcats side, you know, they do have senior night tomorrow, and that's against Rosemont. I believe there's 6 to 7 seniors that, get to give mom a flower, and we get to talk nice things about them that I will be doing the PA announcing after I'm done here on Eagan TV. Tomorrow's game is on Eagan TV. It'll be myself and Skip Newton at Wildcat Park. But, yeah, as you mentioned, looking at the conference standings, right, which we did look at earlier, I mean, Shakopee's up there at 11-2, Farmington's 10-3, South is, Lakeville South, that is 9-3, Pryor 8-5, North 7-6. Going into the season, Hans, as you and I talked about before the game, 3 teams in the South Suburban were ranked in the top 15 preseason ranking, and it did kind of go in order of Farmington, then Prior Lake, then Shakopee, so maybe in a little bit Shakopee is the one that's shocking, if you want to say.
Sure.
Pun intended. With being on the top of the conference right now. But yeah, Wildcats have an interesting stretch here. You know, they can find a way to get this win, get one tomorrow. They'd start be feeling pretty good about themselves with a 3-0 week. A big matchup against Cretin as we watch first pitch swinging for the 6th hit of the game. That is the leadoff hitter, Henke. But yeah, they'll face probably some good pitching and a good team in Cretin and St. Paul. I think that's a 2:00 start on Saturday. And then you got to flush that game out whatever way it goes, because then they're going to turn around and they have 2 huge games at home, and that's going to be Farmington or Shakopee on Monday, Farmington on Tuesday, as they get kind of ready to end their South Suburban season. And then they'll have one more game. I think it's the following Monday or Tuesday against Two Rivers, which Two Rivers, formerly Henry Sibley, now is in their section. So you've kind of noticed, maybe you have as well, but you've seen some teams in the South Suburban that have scheduled a road game or away game against Two Rivers.
Sure, absolutely. Should mention for Henke there for Burnsville, his first hit of this game.
Nice block there by Bjorkstrand as we see the shortstop, Sam Skoglund, started his day at third.
Had a hit in the 5th, came around as a run, and at that point, Casey, it still feels like there's a lot out there for these Wildcats here.
Correct.
This season on a team, as we've talked about, not full of seniors, right? Still some experience coming from that top bottom. That's kind of what Burnsville looking at this season too. They're not a heavy senior driven team either after a 12-win season last year. So there's still some opportunities for both these teams, but it feels like Eagan still have a real strong chance to
have a good chance to
finish out competitive and facing up some great teams, a great time of the season to do that as well.
Kind of maybe do what they did last year, right? Where maybe their seeding doesn't really represent the talent and how good their team is potentially. Last year they were, I think, seeded as like a 5 or 6 seed. And obviously, like I said, they found themselves in the driver's seat, and then Eastview did take them down in both games in that section final. I think that very well could happen again this year. I think for the most part, though, the teams in the conference will know the Eagan team not only from last year but from this year too, right? As we watch Sexton's curveball in the dirt, and he's going to walk Skoglund. So the Blaze are going to try to get a little rally here going on. Down by 7 here in the bottom of the 7th. 11-4 is their score. We're going to have the number 3 hitter, and Alex Crumweed, the center fielder, started his day in left field. Step to the plate as we have Hankey at second and Skoglund at first. I think the biggest thing too, Hans, and you know this with baseball, it's pitching.
Yeah.
That's where Eagan is obviously very strong. They have 4 really solid starters with multiple guys that come in and throw strikes in the bullpen. And, where they've kind of maybe been bitten at times this year is just, either not hitting well or just not getting the key hit. But I think what you also notice is that they're very aggressive on the base pass, whether that be stealing or just taking extra bases. And what we saw today is, they had 7 runs, I think, on 2 or 3 hits.
Yeah.
After, they had 9 runs after the 3rd inning. I think they only had 3 hits at the time. And there was some errors in there, but it was a lot of walks and being, hit by pitches, and then just stolen bases and taking the extra base on pass balls.
Yeah, good at bats, getting guys on, and I think if Eagan, think of those competitive matchups, those good teams that they've got upcoming, they can deliver some at-bats like they've been able to today and even earlier this week on Monday. Boy, they're going to give themselves a chance, no matter the matchup, and a competitive Section 3 playoffs around the corner, too.
2-1s are count here to Crumweed, lefty on lefty. There's a nice changeup in there for a strike by Sexton, so 2-2s to count as he evens it up.
Give some Blaze some credit here, really.
Yeah.
Found themselves in a big hole, and look, they're stepping up and they're finding some good at-bats, some contact as well.
I think cleaned up their fielding, too. Those 5 errors, I think we're through about 4 or 5 innings. 2-hopper over to Highvery. Highvery's going to field it for the out. Try to throw a back pick throw over to King, but Skoglund is in safely. So now Skoglund's at second and Hankey's at third. Going to bring up the center fielder, Colin Heckman. Yeah, nice job there by Highvery, just making sure you get the first out. You just need 3 outs here to finish this game off. So here's Sexton. And actually, this is not Heckman. This is going to be Matthias Dennert. And he's the one that replaced Heckman. So, and there's all that scrambling around, right? Because then Dennert went over to third. Grounder up the middle. King fields it. Nice on target throw to Highvery for the second out as Hankey comes in to score to make it 11-5. Skoglund moves over to third. Dennert gets a RBI in his first at bat of the game?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Nice contact. Just got underneath the glove of Sexton. Nice job by King to come in, charge that. Strong throw to first. First pitch crushed but foul.
What's up?
And this is... Okay, so now they're going to let Ahern bat for himself. So Ahern's going to get his first at bat. So they drop the DH to let the catcher, after doing all that work behind the plate, all the dirty work, Garrett Ahern's going to get his first at bat. Hits one out to left. And this one's going to be caught by Boyd. Retired. Sexton comes in to pitch the final 2 innings. And we have ourselves an 11-5 win for the Wildcats. Like you said, Hans, you got to tip your hat to the Blaze as they put up 4 in the bottom of the 5th to extend the game. And another run here in the 7th. Wildcats had 7 hits with that 1 error. And the Blaze had 5 runs on 5 hits and 5 errors.
And a complete game from Eagan. That's really the best way to put it. The pitching, the defense, the base running really set them up for a big lead to start, and they were able to drive that in those last 3-4 innings. Some good at-bats from Burnsville late in this game, but Wildcats pull themselves right back to 7-7 on the season, and with a really big stretch coming up, this is a big springboard for them and an all-around solid performance for Eagan here in Burnsville for the W.
Absolutely. So once again, I want to thank Tim, our director, Winter on replay, Josh on graphics, and our camera crew of Rachel, Ken, and Emmett. Wonderful working with you here, Hans. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Did a
Thanks
great
for having
job.
me.
Absolutely. Maybe we never know, might do this again at some point if there's another co-op. For all those Eagan fans out there, or just South Suburban Conference fans, we will be on Eagan TV again tomorrow, 4:30 start for Senior Day against the Irish. You know, I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so it's going to be tough for me to see all that nice green. I'm an Irish guy myself, so
look forward to that. Absolutely.
But I'll be keeping her nice and biased and clean. So we're going to have a lot of fun. So we'll be back on Eagan TV tomorrow for another hopefully beautiful day like today. But once again, our final is 11-5 here at Alamagna Park with the visitors from Eagan, the Wildcats, getting the win over the Burnsville Blaze. As you can see some highlights here. But for my guy here, Hans Brittle, I'm Casey Lux. Thank you again for jumping in and listening to us. Go Timberwolves the rest of the playoffs, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your Wednesday evening.